Simpsons Index, an online spreadsheet that is also a podcast. This is the podcast. Coming to you from SideQuest Studios, this is the Simpsons Index, episode 85. Hello out there, I am your host, Elliot Jay O'Neill, and joining me tonight is BT Calloway.
I forgot to put on deodorant this morning, and now I have a fine, manly musk.
Good. And Phil Calloway.
I'm in a small room with a man that doesn't have deodorant, and now I'm small, fine anger.
And very, very new guest, Jimmy Mac. Jim Mac.
Jim Mac's fine, and I didn't prepare anything earlier.
Nor did I, which is why I almost accidentally said, I've been in a small man today.
And also brand new guest, Jim Mac.
Hey guys, how you going? Thanks for having me.
You're welcome, man.
Beej, you smell fine.
Yeah.
And thank you for joining us for the Simpsons Index. This is the podcast where we watch and review 3 episodes of The Simpsons at a time, but there's a twist. Each episode must come from a different decade. So, Jim, you're joining us. You're brand new to the show. Tell us about you and The Simpsons. Where did it begin?
Channel 10, I think.
Yeah?
Correct, yeah.
I've been watching The Simpsons since I was a little fella. Stopped years ago now. I've got to be honest, I haven't watched a new episode in
That's okay.
well over a decade. I've got to
Not
be
a lot of
honest.
people have.
Yeah, so I've got very fond memories, and having watched that last episode, and we'll get to it shortly, I imagine, I think those fond memories might be
Somewhat
trashed a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, well, sorry about that, because yes, we did watch an episode from the HD era. This was season 27, episode 7, Lisa with an S. First released in November of 2015, it was directed by Bob Anderson and written by Stephanie Gillis, who wrote some of my least favourite Simpsons episodes. This is actually the first one we've done of hers, and I think it's no coincidence that she's Al Jean's wife and got a staff writing job on the show. In this episode, Lainey Fontaine comes back to town and she's dating Mo, and she takes Lisa away on tour, and Marge doesn't like that, and stuff happens. Guys, what did you think?
Oh my God, the singing. Why was there so much singing?
The second it started, and there's this tune playing, and I'm like, oh, good thing we got Phil for this one.
Yeah,
Phil, our resident musical expert.
Phil was not happy with the singing part. The song tonight went for like 5 minutes.
It was long, yeah.
It had no points. They're going to play poker, and Lisa wants to go to band camp.
Yeah.
Well, you know how you make one plot point last for 5 minutes? It's turned into a song.
Yeah, that's why I hate songs.
I know.
And this episode had a fair few of them.
Yeah, 3 more than I would like.
Yeah, I actually didn't intend to bring you a musical episode. I just noticed that Lainey Fontaine was in this one, and we saw her previously on My Fair Lady, the Uber one. So yeah, thought that was a bit of continuity.
My fair.
Lady, I was
yeah.
confused with the dog one.
All right, so look, let's get into the questionnaire. BT, for better or worse, what is a moment from this episode that stands out to you?
Man, my big stick on this entire one is going to be I actually like the idea.
Yeah.
And yet it just kind of tanks it. It really kind of pisses me off. I like the idea that Lisa gets recognized for her talent, gets a chance to go on tour. It's a Lisa-heavy episode. We don't have too many of those. It's a Lisa-Marge episode. Don't have too many of those. And yet it doesn't know what to do with its own idea. And that really annoys me a hell of a lot. Specifically, I'm going to start with a joke I did like. So in that opening musical number, Moe's preparing for poker night, and Barney, who's sober again, comes in, and he changes gin, and he adds a little dash, ale.
Yep.
Scotch becomes butterscotch, and rum becomes not rum.
Yeah.
I thought that was a pretty good joke.
Very clever there, Mo. But yeah, so that was a plot point that didn't really go anywhere. He seemed to just get Lainey drunk, which wasn't what he wanted.
Yeah, he was just dating her in this one, and I know there's some continuity there, but it just felt very floating and not tied to anything.
Well, he was only there when the plot said he was, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it would have been more interesting if this was, Mo, Lainey, and Lisa going on tour together, and what kind of adventures could these 3 get up to?
Yeah, I have more notes written in all capitals later, but we'll get to that.
Phil, how about you, mate? What's a moment from this episode that stood out to you for better or worse?
Obviously, the singing was the worst moment.
Obviously.
Also, I really didn't like the Inside Out moment where they jumped into Homer's brain while he's playing poker.
Yeah.
And then there's like the Inside Out angry guy.
Yeah. And
Ned Flanders is dressed as Marge, who's compassion or something.
So it was Molman as sadness, comic book guy as disgust, Ned as happiness, Milhouse as fear, and Willie as anger. So I actually think this was good casting and it looked okay, but none of the material was any good.
It existed for no reason. They even point to it themselves. They go, well, that was this pointless little shoehorned bit, shoehorned, bye.
Yeah, it was literally worst shoehorned scene ever, and then just jumped back out of it.
It's like, why did you write it then? You could have taken it out of the episode.
And also,
Keyboards come with backspaces now.
and escapes. Actually, the gag that I really did like that caught me a lot by surprise when Homer's about to leave to go play poker and Lisa's trying to convince him to take the winnings from poker so she can go to band camp. He goes, I'm going to win. I'm wearing my lucky T-shirt. And he holds it up and it's Snoopy for president. And he goes, if only he hadn't lost to President Garfield. I didn't see that coming, and it actually made me genuinely laugh.
Because there was an actual President Garfield, wasn't there?
There was, yeah, which is why it's even more hysterical, because I can see that's a confusion that Homer would actually have in real life.
Absolutely.
Like, President Garfield? I voted for Snoopy.
I will point out in that same scene, though, like talking about them undercutting themselves, Lisa goes, can I have a hug and ask a favor? And then she goes, I'll ask the favor now so to save time.
Yeah.
And he puts her down and then she starts asking the favor. You didn't fucking save us any time.
Yeah.
You wasted our time and it wasn't even a good bit. Ugh. Okay, calm down. Jim, for better or worse, what's a moment from this episode that stood out to you?
I'll take the better. I loved the Amish Flanders bit.
Yeah.
That was a joke they could have just played with for multiple episodes.
Yeah, I want to see the Amish Flanders.
Yeah, I do like he wasn't just like a different costume for Flanders. He was like, oh, you must know my heretic cousin.
Yeah, I genuinely like that he looks down his nose at the liberal Ned.
Christian,
which was fantastic.
a good direction to take. I was quite surprised by that.
Yeah, and the return to it after the credits was it after the credits?
Yeah. And again, they were undercutting their own joke where they framed it with this unnecessary interstitial moment. And it was like, no, just have the moment. Don't undercut yourself.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty good. I would genuinely like to see more Amish in more cartoons as a rule.
True.
And I did quite enjoy Edison's witch lights as a gag.
And the devil's diddlies.
He's still taking the devil's diddlies. That was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Actually, that could be an excellent kind of odd couple show if you had Ned's Amish cousins come to live with Ned.
Yeah.
And they think he's like a hippie, like swear bear.
Yeah.
I'd watch that for an episode.
It's an angle we've never gotten, someone looking down on Ned for being unholy.
Yeah.
That would be interesting,
It was well played on.
Because Flanders a lot is sort of the subject of a lot of like Westboro Baptist-esque sort of character traits in the later season. I know you haven't caught up, but they've really sort of fucked with his character and really reduced him to like the worst parts of Christianity, where good old Ned was.
He was charitable and giving, and now he's just kind of a dick.
So, So, seeing this fresh angle, I totally agree. It's a really refreshing, funny thing to see.
Yeah, look, I just wanted to go to a down moment. And
of course, this episode had a lot of them.
The bizarre pop-ups of a number of characters. Maggie appearing in the coat. Milhouse appearing in the highest level of an unnecessarily tall theatre.
When does the show start?
Abe. Why was Abe in the room?
To yell one
just
bit of
to say,
advice.
I was here.
Literally to say, I was here the whole time. I've just been quiet.
Which I think is a joke that they've probably done ever since the show started. We've forgotten Grandpa.
Yeah.
But that joke didn't have any teeth to it. There's nothing to it. I don't get it.
Well, they're just pointing out what they're doing, and it doesn't make for actual comedy.
There's actually a lot of that in this episode. There's a lot of, here's the funny thing that I'm about to say, and then say the funny thing. And then because they telegraphed it and the joke was kind of shit to start with, it's all that whole exchange is now dead to me.
We've also got a bit where they're now doing, here's this weak bit we're going to use. Wasn't that weak? It's like, you can't be in on the joke you're making. Like, that doesn't work like that.
And if you know it's weak, spend more time on it and make it better.
Yep.
Oh, I also loved Lenny learning poker at the poker table, but making it look like his professional card playing gimmick.
Yeah.
Which I thought
with his
was
hoodies and his
quite
sunglasses.
charming. Yeah. Also him falling out the window because he wore a dark visor football helmet to the game. I mean, that was just a cute little moment. I liked it.
No, definitely. Maybe actually the cut to the second ad break went on a little bit too long when the tape was going, oh, now you've learned all the rules for poker. What did he bet? I bet $2.
$2.
Yeah.
I did like that the tape said to him, 4 is bigger than 3.
Yeah. It's just going through everything. Really detailed tape.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm going to say the moment of this episode that stands out to me is this whole poker scene. I think it was, jumping on what you were saying, PT, I kind of like how they set this up. Homer is indebted to this big famous Broadway star who can make things happen for Lisa, and that's sort of killing two birds with one stone, resolving the debt and resolving Lisa's issue of wanting more broader musical experience.
Yeah, like I said, the potential of this one is what really pisses me off about it.
Yeah, but unfortunately, I just didn't really like any of the material from when Homer made the bet or when Lainey fucking passed out on the chips, and some of her stuff was just genuinely depressing.
That whole part of the story was very middle of the road kind of. It wasn't terrible enough that you would actively hate it, but it wasn't good enough. And really, I got to the credits and I was like, oh, I was still waiting for the story to happen. Like, it felt like this was all just the setup and the build to get to what actually happened. And you, BT, you called this a Lisa and Marge episode. But I reckon Marge was in 4 scenes the entire time.
No, that's what I mean. The setup kind of has that, but it doesn't deliver on it. No.
Yeah, because I don't like. It's so weird when she comes over for dinner and she just goes, "I'll tell you what, let me take Lisa with me," with no then follow up context or anything. And you're like,
Yeah.
that doesn't make any sense. This is not a sentence.
I think
that
she even
anyone
just says, "Let me just take your daughter."
"Yeah,
It's like, oh, on tour with me. It's like, no, maybe lead with that.
or even just here's an idea. I've seen you play saxophone for 3 seconds.
Yep.
I'm about to start a new Broadway musical called whatever it was.
Yep.
Lenny's Not Dead or something.
Sure.
Throw the bowling ball down the laney. I don't remember.
Ugh.
Ugh.
Take a dip in the fontaine.
Stop it.
This is why you don't name Broadway musicals.
Nope.
I mean, if you ever wondered, we just found out.
Actually, I liked a couple of the Broadway musical jokes that they had
the
in the
sign
background.
gags, they on point as always.
Yeah, Lafayette the musical, no doubt jumping on the popularity of Hamilton, and
Spider Pig, turn off the pork.
not bad. And yeah, Hedwig the elf from Harry Potter had a musical in there. So
Hedwig and the Angry Foot, I think it was.
Yeah.
It was obviously a sequel.
Play count. How many times before tonight have you watched this episode?
0.
Never.
0.
Yep, this is only my second time watching this one.
Gasp.
It's not good.
Yeah. It's a bad track record for this episode.
You've seen it enough.
Yeah. In fact, once was too many. Yeah, actually, I just remembered what I was going to say before. As good as the Amish Flanders stuff was, yeah, it did take away valuable story time from Marge.
Yeah, I think it was better spent with Amish Flanders.
Definitely.
Marge really had no point of view apart from, I'm worried about my daughter and I can't figure out how to work Skype.
Yeah.
But it also, and it wastes a lot of time with Lainey because they've got this whole, she keeps forgetting the lyrics. Is that going to matter? Oh, it doesn't matter.
No.
And then Mo being supportive, but that doesn't matter. And,
there's a lot of setup and absolutely no payoff throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, which is weird because a lot of the setups I did think were going to be kind of interesting, and then they just didn't, and it really bugs me. My big note I've got in all like capitals is, why not go with Lisa as a chaperone?
Yeah.
Like, there's literally no reason Marge can't just go with her, and then she's involved in the episode more, and you can have her losing her daughter while she's there rather than, she's going on some crazy adventure without us, and she's going to figure. I don't even. What was even the worry?
You can emotionally lose your closeness to your daughter because she's finding other big things, and you're not the heroine of her life anymore.
Exactly, which would be so much bigger than this. She's a long way away and possibly doing weed. Oh no, she's not.
I think.
Yeah, that was.
Doesn't this all kind of lead back to what I thought was understood, that Marge has always been sort of a dull character and a vehicle to let other characters have a wacky adventure with someone kind of worrying over them.
And that's it. If she went on tour with her, then she could be in the position where she's being overbearing. And yeah, Lisa's really wanting to go out and explore, but she's constantly tied to her mother because she's a kid. Yeah. So how about some of the wacky moments of this episode? What were some of the more cartoony things, bizarre animation elements? What have we got?
Oh yeah, when the limo comes to pick up Lisa, it's just full of steam, and that doesn't get explained.
I
assume
that's being marijuana smoke.
I thought it was
it's just her
cigar.
Smoking. Yeah, her cigarette smoking.
Yeah.
I guess I just.
It did go.
Yeah. The pressurized sound has made me wonder.
Made me think about DeLoreans.
Yeah.
There was a weird, tiny hair Marge inflates her hair at the beginning of the day gag, which was okay.
You know, actually, I was watching a Michael Jackson documentary the other day, and it was talking about one time he got burned on stage and he lost part of his hair, and he did this procedure called ballooning where they stick a saline thing under your scalp and inflate your scalp so that they can move a new wider hair follicle thing over the part that's been burned off.
That's horrifying.
Yeah, and he overdid it as well. He went to several doctors and each got them to do it, and they didn't know about the other doctors and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, is this what Marge is doing is my question, I guess.
You're saying Michael Jackson was a balloon.
Also, I love the idea of Michael Jackson sneaking from one doctor to another doctor without the other one knowing. It was like, have you been anywhere else, Michael? No.
You just see a moonwalk trail from the other doctor's office.
I love the idea of Michael Jackson trying to be subtle.
Yeah. It was just like he's only in his white sparkly vest rather than the...
So we've seen this 40-foot statue of you arrive at several different hospitals. We know you've been elsewhere.
Yeah, your car is too conspicuous.
Quick to the Jackson-mobile.
Come on, Tinkles. Bubbles, whatever your name is.
Yeah, as far as especially newer Simpsons goes, this wasn't a particularly wacky episode. I guess you get some moments with the Amish guys, but yeah, they could totally build an outhouse that quickly.
Oh yeah, that's what they do.
Very industrious.
How deep did you build it? 30 hands. May God hope it's enough.
Surely the Amish have like a standard unit of measurement.
Yeah, hands.
Or cubits.
Oh, cubits, yeah.
yeah.
And it's not particularly wacky, but yeah, when Lisa goes, "Can I have a puff?" and then she gets handed cheese puffs. I actually really liked that joke. It was just a nice mixed act. Any other wacky moments?
Can we agree that the moment where Barney, to demonstrate his drunkenness, picks up the dartboard and then pretends to be a drunk driver was
Stupid.
annoying?
Yeah.
It just kind of annoyed my intelligence.
And we had a better version of this joke the other week.
Yeah, I was just thinking where he goes to drive home, Homer goes into the bathroom, pulls the toilet paper across his lap as a seatbelt and drives using the... Do you even have a wheel for that?
Probably not, but
No.
he was wearing a seatbelt, which was important.
Yeah, because we noted in that episode that no one was wearing a seatbelt and we're just very disturbed.
Wear seatbelts, people. There was a bit of wackiness when Chaz Busby was going, fade to black, and talking about needing 5 Valium or some shit.
Yeah.
I like that
Yeah.
joke.
Yeah?
Let's wake up in the exact amount of time it takes you to wake up from 5 Valium
Oh, okay.
to
yeah.
the minute.
Oh, is that what he said? Oh,
Yeah,
I missed
like
that.
he's measuring his annoyance and the time of the meeting by the
By
drugs he
Valium.
needs to calm
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
I thought it was clever, but I didn't like the musical director stereotype being
Yeah.
overly flamboyant and ridiculous.
Yeah, he like
It-
exits the stage via jazz
jazz
hands,
hands.
and then
Yeah.
says like
Appalling.
"Cha-cha-chow" or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very weird.
Yeah, I've got a mixed relationship with Chaz Busby.
Is he a recurring character?
Yeah.
Sometimes. I think this is only like the third time we've seen
Can I get that on a t-shirt? I have a mixed relationship with Chaz Busby.
It'll be on our line of Simpsons Index t-shirts, along with "Woo, privilege"
You're one of my favorite slogans.
and "Don't shit on my crumpets."
Yeah, don't shit on my carpets. All the
Yeah.
mustard
What
in the
they
house.
Is that a Simpsons quote?
No.
No, they didn't say shit, did they?
No.
All right, so how about the heart? Did you guys feel the bumps?
No.
No. See, that's the thing. I wanted to. The setup was there to do it, and they just didn't do it right.
Yeah, you don't feel Marge's level of concern. You don't. They sort of also half hint at like Lisa being exhausted from the touring schedule, which they don't follow through on.
Yeah. No. Well, they're not touring yet. They're just in one locale. So
Yeah.
it'll just be rehearsal that should be tired from.
And yeah, they're also half-heartedly going for this Lainey Fontaine being over the hedge thing, and
You know what? You never even get a big Lisa being in the spotlight and loving, being overwhelmed by everything or even whelmed.
yeah,
Or
Well,
just
it's not even
being
a part-
blown away by being in the big city or anything.
Yeah, there's not even a part where like Lisa goes with her to like see what Broadway or Hollywood's like, but never was it said, "Oh, come with me, you're a great saxophone player, and I'll give you a part on stage." And
Yeah.
then she's somehow the main part of the band and doing I don't know what it's called when you play an instrument with someone singing one-on-one.
accompanist.
You become an accompanist.
Accomplice.
Accomplice,
Can't
that's the
say
one.
ninny
That
these
doesn't sound
days.
right. But that's not mentioned at all. It's not like
No.
she's got an enormous promotion for being really talented. But it's just like, yeah, fine, you're on stage.
And in terms of the structure of the episode, this is kind of an inversion of the got out of the box ending where you've had them be successful, and at the end, the issue is Fontaine is jealous and the studio hasn't bought the rights to the song.
Yeah,
And then the rug is pulled, which was a terrible gag.
it was. But like they were doing this thing with Lainey where she like saw Marge how upset she was, and she was like, "Oh, I'll pull a fast one and tell Lisa that she's kicked from the tour, but I'm really doing this for Marge." And then it gets turned around as like this is her giving bad advice and then getting her comeuppance. It's really confusing. And
Yeah.
I must have missed something. Did she do it for Marge?
There
Yeah.
was
Well, because
a
Marge is
very-
like doing the sad walk away, and Lainey sees her and goes,
Oh.
"Oh."
How did
It
I
was-
miss that?
It was only a very small nod.
It was
Yeah.
literally like a second and a half.
Maybe I had a sip of beer and looked
Yeah.
up and it was
You
all over.
blinked.
Yeah.
You were dotting your eyes and you
Mm.
didn't see it. It was only very fast and it wasn't well set up, so
No.
you didn't know it was there. It was just like Marge walks away and she just looks at Marge for a second and goes, "Actually, you got a bigger round of applause than I did.
Yeah.
You're fired."
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which again is a good idea, but they just executed it so weakly that you didn't even notice it happened.
Totally.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
then when they had Chaz Busby come along and fire her, then they made it about something else, which is what this episode kept doing. It
Yeah.
set up one thing and went to another when it was bored.
Yeah,
Fucking
just constantly switching tracks and it's no.
I think it just didn't believe in its own story. Like it had it's a legitimately good story, or could be a good story, but
Yeah.
they just didn't seem to want to spend enough time with it. It seemed like they didn't have enough faith in the story being good,
yeah.
so they kept shooting off different bits of it, potentially trying to be like Family Guy almost.
Mm.
And the episode ends with a love story Mo and Lady Fontaine enjoying New York City
enjoying the
together.
city.
Yeah.
Which was nice.
Yeah, I just wrote down unfunny montage.
Yeah. What was the point?
I think that's what I wrote.
Montage.
Montage?
Nope.
Close.
It's a
Yeah.
montage with Mo. Yeah.
But
But ultimately,
montage is something after hours.
Like a dirty Sanchez.
Ew.
Or a Lady Fontaine.
yeah, getting your Lady Fontaine. Ooh.
He made it worse.
That'll be what's on my tombstone.
He got his lady.
Yeah, I
Fontaine.
think it's just me. Look who finally got his Lady Fontaine.
It's like a
Killed
really
him.
weird gangster term. Give him concrete shoes and Lady Fontaine.
Yeah, that's when you wrap someone up in a giant taco outfit and then sell them.
Ultimately, though, guys, did this feel like an episode of The Simpsons? Were the characters behaving like themselves? How's the integrity of the show?
They were, but in like a weird parallel copy of.
I've got it. They were, but they didn't know why.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, they were, but everyone was turned down to 3 out of 10.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, the show itself just so meandering and setting up and not following through. Yeah, this is not The Simpsons we know and love.
No, so yeah, take a regular episode of The Simpsons, turn it down, and then skip every 8th scene, and you've got this episode.
And it still felt long.
It's still.
But yes or no, would you watch this episode again?
I just feel like there's nothing to get out of it.
I would only watch the Amish bits, really.
Yeah, if it was on a plane.
Yeah.
Not on a plane.
Yeah, not even on a plane.
Not even on a boat.
Not even on a box.
What
There's-
about a
no.
canoe?
No, I'm canoeing. I'm
Sorry.
busy.
No, you're a rich man.
On a
Someone
plane,
else
I'm
is doing
sitting.
the canoeing.
Oh.
You're just in the canoe.
Yeah, I'm not watching this one again, but we've sort of hit on it a lot. But BT, what would you like to change about this episode?
Oh, so many things. So, yeah, bring Marge along as a chaperone. Maybe have, or if you want to go with the plot line of Laney's problems, make it a plot line, because it was just, there was enough there for it to be a thing, but not enough to be a plot. Yeah, I think bring Marge along, have her lose her daughter emotionally while being there physically, and Lisa just seeing as her as a mother who's just looking after Maggie while she goes off and does the showbiz thing. Have Lisa learn something about maybe she's not quite ready for show business because she is only 8 after all. She still wants a story read to her.
Yeah.
There was a lot more to be in mind where she's like, will you read me a story? And the lady's like, oh, I read the audiobook. I'm going to just thrown her the audiobook and been done with it. And it's like, it's not the same thing.
Yeah.
Which I thought they were going to do, and they just, again, didn't.
And yeah, that'd be funnier if Lisa owned that joke. Wait, why did your voice change to Peter Faulkner or whatever she
Whatever.
said? Yeah. And yeah, that could have been Lisa.
Yeah. And also, make Lisa's sax playing better. The bit that impresses Lainey when they're playing together, first of all, you can't hit Lisa when they're playing together. And when she does the big finish at the end, it's basic pentatonic scale.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
I
Yeah.
hate when that happens.
Yeah.
I always like detatonic scales from Dragons.
Dorian? Yeah, that's pretty good.
Phil, what would you like to change about this episode?
I'll just say, if you find an A story, make sure it runs the whole way through your episode. Rather than trying to shoot off into different directions.
Yeah.
And there's so much more that could have been done with it without trying to then make other things happen at the same time. And there's so much they left behind. Like, this could have really gone to, a trainee, protege, master, mentor type scenario, like a Whiplash thing where, Fontaine is
Not my time.
really hard and, crass and trying to push her away under the guise of trying to make it great. But and then Lisa has trouble dealing and failing with, maybe not being good enough to make the big time when
Maybe
you're
she
8.
starts getting more aggressive to her own family and realizes this is someone I don't want to be yet.
Yeah, it could be like there's a lot of places it could go and just decided to go nowhere.
Yeah. How about you, Jim? What is something that you'd like to change about this episode?
Yeah, I guess taking what Phil said, I'd cut out the poker scene.
Yep.
I'd remove that entirely, didn't add to the episode, and we could have easily gotten to the protege relationship without the poker. Having said that, it gave me Lenny in headphones, so I'll leave it in.
Maybe start at poker and cut the whole song at the beginning, because that was a couple of
Definitely
totally.
cut the song at the beginning.
Also, episodes where any episode where they break a fourth wall just for the sake of doing it frustrates me. When they lean out of the card logos.
Yeah, when it started with the screen opening as well,
It
and
didn't make
the
sense.
stage, and it was like, oh, okay.
Which,
Yeah,
if you're
no.
going to do that at the start, at the end, why not pepper it in throughout the middle and make it a thing?
Yeah, keep it consistent.
Yeah.
I would have... Hear me out, guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have just an Amish episode where the family goes on a road trip, gets broken
Yeah,
down.
I'm
They
100%
meet
behind that.
Amish Flanders family, bring back a small family of Amish,
Yeah.
and then you get an episode with Ned as not the most religious person in
Yeah.
town, and we get to revel in Ned being quote unquote liberal.
Yeah.
That would have been an interesting episode. What we watched was not.
I agree.
Yeah, it would have made a much better episode, and especially because you see the potential in those little gags. We didn't really see much potential in the rest of the story. Yeah, what I'd change, do your thing, Beach. Have Marge come along, but also Mo. Why set up or keep reminding the audience that Mo and Lainey are dating if not to use him more in the episode? His appearances were just so lame and nothing, and just he didn't need to be there, so why was he?
I will say I kind of like the joke where he's like, well, if you flub on stage, I'll just shoot this gun, and that's what critics will talk about tomorrow.
Yeah.
But then I didn't get why, when she was in the motel room, he calls her and says, are you watching Channel 6? Turn it on now, turn it on now. Ah, you missed it, they've cleaned it up.
Yeah.
That was weird.
I'm just like, but
That was to show his hair is curly because he's got curls in. Also, I think to remind that he was a part of the episode.
yeah, I think that's what
Yeah.
it was. It's like, yeah, it's literally Grandpa saying, and I'm here too.
Yeah.
But over the phone and Mo.
All right, it's the final note time. Jim, what is your final note?
I'll fly off with the Bruce Willis gag. Quite like that.
I
That
did
was
too, yeah.
Yeah. I guess the panacea for a star-studded career is just meeting Bruce Willis.
Yep.
Quite like that. And the other thing I didn't like was the sly jab at unions. I'm going to wear my politics on my sleeve.
Yeah.
There was a quick jab at unions, which I feel like The Simpsons is a little bit, flies a bit close to the sun on political issues, and sometimes we just don't see eye to eye. They'd have to go at unions. Wasn't a fan.
Yeah. What was it? Because, Homer and the movie guy work out that they're in the same union, and he goes, because I know you, I'm obligated to be corrupt now.
And also the union was called like flim flams and
featherbedders, which is the inference being that union workers have featherbedded their jobs and they aren't working hard for their money.
That is not a term I'm familiar with.
No. So
But it does describe
I
how
didn't
it's
quite
insane.
like that. Totally unnecessary. They didn't need to have a unions are corrupt jag there.
Yeah, well, this is sort of what's at the heart of problem with Apu, is that there's these rich white guys writing punch-down humor that, feels a little bit worse when you know where it's coming from.
Always punch up.
And may I just say that this is also the show that had the union on strike at the power plant, which was a wonderful episode.
Yeah, demo plan Lisa needs braces.
Yep, and a wonderful song from Lisa, and that's still a high moment of the show in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely.
For them to 15 years later trot that out seemed a little bit cheeky.
Yeah, for such a nuanced exploration into unions in that episode, Last Exit to Springfield, I can't wait to do that one. It is so good.
The amount of stuff that Elliot knows in his brain about The Simpsons is
Could I be invited
ridiculous.
back for that one?
Sure.
I love that episode, yeah, please.
How about you, Phil? Do you have any other notes?
I think the only one I've really got is when the car breaks down near Amish country and Homer's like, stupid electric car, and Bart goes, Dad, because it got hit by lightning doesn't make it electric, which I kind of thought was a little bit funny, but not
I like the line,
hugely.
but the delivery was really, Dad, just because it was struck, but it was just that kind of plodding.
He literally said it like he was Lisa.
Yeah.
Like Bart would also believe it was an electric car in other parts.
That's true.
And then the only other note that I have is I've written stop the singing 3 times.
Because she had that other song, I'm a Broadway lady.
Oh, don't do
I
it
can drink
again.
before the show.
Can I
As
quit?
long as the producer doesn't
Can
know.
I throw in a suggestion for when he's like, damn electric car, and Marge could be like, Homer, because the battery light is on does not make it an electric car.
Yeah, there we go.
It's too clever by half.
Well, I'm sorry.
You punch down.
Dumb it down.
How about you, BT? Any other notes?
Lainey calls him Fat Folds 5. I like the
I
good
missed that.
Ben Folds 5 reference.
Yeah.
So, nice. Good for Ben Folds.
If you're ever wondering if you should make a Ben Folds joke, I say do it anyway.
Yep. If you get a chance to see a Ben Folds show, go.
Oh, fuck yeah. He lets you throw paper at him.
Yeah.
All right, it is time for my final notes now. I like how Homer, you see one of them's playing with the poker chip, like passing it through their own fingers on one hand, and then Homer's doing that with like a Pringle. I thought that was a really cool visual.
I was really expecting that to then triple down and do the gag of 3s, where like the next person over was doing something slightly more outrageous, but turned out
They got like a flat screen TV passing through their fingers.
just a something. Don't know,
Yeah.
maybe a cigar.
Game
Yeah.
Boy.
Yeah. Or Lenny and his tape deck, his Walkman, he's doing the finger thing with that.
Oh, with a cassette.
Yeah.
Old school.
That's how we used to do it in the 80s. And speaking of good visuals, I liked Homer when he's taking off his belt and it just makes a whoosh sound.
Mm-hmm.
Thought that was a really funny way to get Marge up. But yeah, then her screams were really weird, weren't they?
Yeah. Julie Cadnick sounded pretty rough in this one.
Yeah.
I was going to say, that just reminded me. Did we find out why Homer was wearing a watch at the beginning of the episode?
So they can have the joke where he puts on his watch, but then has to put
Extender
on a
gag?
second.
Oh, yeah.
A watch
See?
extender.
That's so...
I do think that the belt off
Yeah.
brought into sharp contrast the 3D animation. It was very much it looked 3D
Yeah.
or looked HD or something.
Oh, definitely. The Simpsons HD era has a very distinct feel, and they do use a lot more computer-generated
Yeah, it's got depth.
moves. Yeah.
It's got a depth that the original didn't.
Yeah, it's
original,
like the correct
older stuff
perspective.
didn't. Yeah.
Yeah, especially after Futurama came into prominence, because that show really messed with a lot of 3D in 2D space, and The Simpsons were clearly influenced by their own work.
The guys down the end of the hall.
Yeah. Bart picks up the saxophone and goes, oh, wow, this is so easy. I really liked that because, saxophones are one of the most notoriously hard instruments to master.
So I'm scratching that off my list.
But he was so good at it.
Yeah.
I'm convinced.
Yeah. Well,
It's easy.
with most instruments, like a piano, the notes go, lowest to highest, but saxophone, they're all muddled up and mixed around. And
I've already learnt more than I wanted to.
I liked all of Laney's albums, especially Laney Butchers the Beatles and Rehab a Merry Christmas or something.
Yeah, I did like the Butchers the Beatles for both the line of butchering the music and the Butcher cover that's infamous. Yeah.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, the reference to Yesterday and Today, the original cover of that, which, it's great.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
You got the makings of a star, especially your star-shaped head, I thought was a good line. And I liked that they were staying at the Deadbolt Inn. Wow, I'm actually riffing off some jokes that I liked, like how Marge goes, do I hear syncopation? Again, maybe just it's a wanky musician
It's
joke.
a wanky musician joke.
It is? All right, you need to tell me when I'm
These
being a
guys.
wanky musician.
I'll
Now.
All right, and my final music note is, why was Walk on the Wild Side playing over the final Moe and Laney montage? What did that have to do
They were
with it?
taking a walk on the wild side.
But they were sitting most of the time.
That's how you walk wildly.
Oh. So dangerous. You have to do it
That's
sitting
the
down.
most rebellious form of walking, sitting.
Sitting down on go-karts.
All right, guys, it is time to rank this thing!
But how will we do that?
On the Simpsons Index, we rank using our 6-point scale, which starts down the bottom at failure. But maybe if the episode was just meh, you give participant. But if it's good, bronze, great, silver, excellent, gold, but for the best of the very best, the episodes that make you want to sing out in the street, you give those episodes cubic zirconia. I'm going to go first. Let me show you how it's done. Ooh, I don't know. I'm giving it a participant. Fuck, I just don't have it in me to fail it. It's more toothless than anything, and I don't want to send it down into the pit. BT?
Yeah, I'm the same way. Participant, it's got some potential, and that's the thing that bugs me the most, but I got some good laughs out of it. There are some elements I'd want to watch again, but they mostly remind me of things that could have been better episodes.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't belong in the pit, so nor does it belong in medal tally. So, yep, participant.
It definitely does not. How about you, Phil? Where are you going?
Also going solid participant. I didn't hate it enough to enjoy hating it, and I hope that I never have to encounter it again.
I like that failure. You need a certain element that really riles up the hate duct, and
You have to want to kick it.
Yeah. You have to enjoy hating it like reading a Matthew Riley novel.
No one enjoys that.
and
But you enjoy the hate.
and everybody stay tuned for the spin-off podcast, the Matthew Riley Index, with your host Phil Calloway.
Phil hates Matthew Riley.
They're all
I reckon that'll get some traction.
I'm not going to lie, that sounds like fun.
I'm coming at you, Matthew.
All right, how about you, Jim? Finish us off.
I've legitimately forgotten the scale. What was the bottom?
Failure, participant, and then
Yeah, that's
good.
as far as we need to go. Participant. It wasn't a fail. It wasn't a fail,
Yeah.
but it's not one I'd ever rewatch willingly.
Yeah, definitely. All right, guys. Well, that will make this episode a unanimous failure.
No.
Fuck.
The other one.
Participant.
This is what happens when I'm trying to look up shit at the same time as I am talking.
Guys, that'll make this one a unanimous participant, joining other such episodes as... I can't read from there.
Then I'll
I
read
haven't
it.
seen that one.
So this will be joining other such episodes as My Fair Laddie and My Fair Lady, which we mentioned before. Also the Lego episode Brick Like Me, Simpsorama, the Futurama crossover. This will also be joining the Simpsons, which was that weird sort of medieval Game of Thrones parody episode. Take My Life Please, when Homer looks into a soup that tells his future, or...
You will be surprised to know that I've never heard of any of these episodes, and I think you're playing a joke on me right now.
There's always, every time Elliot reads out the other episodes and he vaguely describes what they are, you go, that sounds amazing. I'll have to see it. And then you see it, you're like, this is terrible.
Yeah.
Did any of those make you think that?
I haven't seen the one where they have a clairvoyant suit.
Looks into a suit.
But it sounds like it'd be awesome. But I did see the one, you mentioned one ages ago, where it's like, where Lenny dates a small person. No. Mo dates a small person. And I was like, that's an episode of this show? And then we watched it and it was boring.
It had some good moments.
No.
But it was also toothless in its resolution as well. That one got a unanimous bronze. All right, guys. Now, before we move on to the next episode, is that reputation justified?
Is that reputation justified?
Which reputation?
We check on other review scores and see. Some of them are ridiculous.
Oh, we review reviews.
Yes.
This is so meta.
Yeah, this is the Simpsons Index Review Index.
We've discovered we're the only Simpsons podcast you can trust.
Yeah.
Like, it's us and no one else except for maybe worst episode.
Definitely. All right, old mate Dennis Perkins of the AV Club.
Motherfucker. What do you give this? 4 A's?
No. He's not the soft touch. He's the unpredictable one.
Okay.
Yeah, but he gave this episode a C+. So that is actually pretty
Low.
dead on.
Isn't it a C+ average? Isn't that like bang on average?
He only goes down to D, though.
Okay. Can he fail in that scale?
No,
Their scale is like oddly short. It's
Okay.
A's like excellent, B's average, C is like boring to
Subpar.
bad, and then D is like, avoid this at all costs.
Gotcha.
They
So
don't-
average is literally second top.
Yeah.
Which is
But they have, plus and minus, so.
Yeah.
So yeah, Dennis Perkins of the AV Club gave this a C+, saying, could this heap of half-realized plots coalesce into a satisfying episode of The Simpsons? Sure, if any of them were funny on its own, or if they all somehow tied together in the end. Instead, Lisa with an S just sort of exists.
Hey, Dave Perkins. It was an Amish bit. I mean, that was an episode right
I
there,
think
buddy.
Dave Perkins didn't even read his own review because that sounds like
Yeah.
all terrible points.
Also, is his name Dave Perkins?
Dennis. Denny Perko.
Well,
Dave now.
Take that, Dave.
But, and he finishes by saying, it wasn't abysmal or infuriating. At least that would have left something to talk about. This episode was just ... there. That's a pretty accurate assessment.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, guys, that was the 581st episode of The Simpsons. Now we are going all the way back to the 399th episode with 24 minutes. We'll be back.
I remember liking this one.
I think I'm not going to like Keith Sutherland.
What?
No.
And we are back, and we just watched our Teens Era episode. This was Season 18, Episode 21, 24 Minutes. This was first released in May of '07. It was directed by Raymond Percy and written by Ian Maxtone Graham and Billy Kimball. In this episode, so The Simpsons are doing a 24 parody with Bart as Jack Bauer and Lisa as Chloe was her name, and it's about a stink bomb that the bullies are going to set off. Guys, what did you think?
I had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It was really good. I didn't really have ever watched 24, so I wasn't sure of the parody parts of it, but it was pretty much non-stop things.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very, very rapid episode. Like, the amount of stuff that happens before the first ad break is pretty damn impressive.
Yeah, it's sort of... It feels too fast when they're doing the previously on, but once the episode sort of hits its stride, it's, well paced.
I struggle with the 24. I haven't seen 24.
Yeah.
I didn't really get it. I took it that character that kept turning up was a character from 24.
Jack Bauer.
There you go. So...
Yeah, I sort of respect what 24 did as a show, but I didn't ever respected its content. It sort of seemed to glorify torturing and sort of really maligned Muslim people a lot.
It was a different time. It was the early 2000s.
Is it a different time? That's kind
Yeah.
of still the same time.
Yeah, so just on that as well, Kiefer Sutherland and Mary Ling Rajkov, I'm never going to get that name right, made appearances on the show. They did a pretty good job, eh?
Yeah, I mean, we do somewhat. I watched about half of the first season of 24.
Oh,
but yeah, we do kind of lack a bit of context. I don't know who her character is.
Yeah, I've watched half of episodes, and my note says, this is why I don't watch 24.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm whatever on Kiefer Sutherland, but yeah, Mary Ling Rajkub is actually like one of my absolute favorite comedian actors. She did a lot of work on Mr. Show and then their revival series with Bob and David that I loved, and in their movie Run, Ronnie, Run. She was also Heartfire in the later season of Arrested Development. You know, the woman that can only speak with her thoughts.
What?
She also plays reoccurring character Genevieve in Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which a lot of people were upset that it got cancelled and then relieved that it was brought back.
Yeah, it was a harrowing
Yay.
20 minutes.
Yeah, that was a scary couple of hours. Yeah, I felt like I was the only person that was like, the show's run its course. It's probably time.
It's probably time, but I still love it.
Yeah, but everyone was just like, no, it's my favorite.
Yeah.
Then
And now
watch it and its ratings won't suck.
it's doomed to run into the ground as someone
Yep.
gets married because they run out of plot points. But
Yep. But back to The Simpsons.
Oh.
So,
I thought we were talking about 24.
Stay on
Good night,
target.
night.
so yeah, I thought this episode really did a good job of following through with the stylistic parody.
Yeah, I really like the animation, especially in terms of the lighting, is very like dramatic and the sort of shade going on, and it looks really good. It looks very distinct. You know you're in a parody.
Yeah, definitely, and all the multiple camera angles at the same time sort of stuff. And I thought they played with some good jokes on that really well, where you see like Marge in one corner and then you see Milhouse and Homer in the dumpster and they go past at the same time. And yeah, there was some good material there. So let's get into the episode. BT, what is a moment from this story that stood out to you for better or worse?
I really like how it actually pretty well lands Homer and Milhouse's dumpster adventure. Like, it seems like something that really shouldn't work, but every scene really kind of brought a smile to my face.
This is life. We're dumpster people now.
When he's rolling past, it's like, quick, act natural, throws a banana on his head.
That was ridiculous.
I had to write down this line in its entirety. Chief Wiggum going, what is it about a woman in a dumpster?
It's like he just goes, quick, it's the cops, act natural, while they're rolling down the street in a dumpster. He ducks underneath, comes back with a banana on his head, and you're like, what the fuck? How is that more natural? And he's like, hello. Like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, that shouldn't have worked as well as it did, but every time that little plot line came up, I got a chuckle.
Yeah, that was pretty good. I think it was also really the only part that was not a parody, satire, comedy bit. It was like just pure comedy.
Yeah, a bit of levity to keep the episode rolling along, and to put Milhouse and Homer in the school. And I love how they parallel park when they get there too. Like, again, just so ridiculous. How about you, Jem? What's a moment from this episode that stands out to you for better or worse?
I tend to find introducing a character, giving them a quippy introduction always falls flat for me.
Yeah.
A joke written that way never seems to hit home. I particularly didn't like the note under Bart of him being 2 months sober.
Yeah.
The reference to him being, kind of an alcoholic. What's best about Bart is that he's a fun-loving, mischievous imp, not that he's an out-of-control alcoholic.
Yeah, he's a lovable scamp.
Correct. And that wouldn't fit with him being an alcoholic. And just little bits like that jar a little.
Yeah, that was a weird kind of call-out. The only one I did like out of that, like I had Marge's one was unemployed.
Which is a jab at maybe homemaking.
Yeah. Okay, but I did like Homer's one was ATM user.
Yeah. I also like the nuclear power plant, available for weddings.
Yeah, I like that. That was fun.
Oh, that was
That
one
was a
I
sign
didn't
gag,
like.
wasn't it? Or was that a...
That was
That's
another
a little
one.
title card.
Oh, was it title? No.
And I didn't mind one for the nerds, Data, Martin, and Milhouse, Dork, Dink, and Dingus.
Oh, yeah. Is that guy's name Database?
Database.
Yeah.
Is it really?
It's Nick.
I don't know if it's his Christian name, but
I assume that his last name is Base.
yeah. And also their friend Ham Radio,
Yeah.
Yeah, those title cards were weird and very jarring in this previously on section of the show that was, a mix of fast pace, and then those title cards really grind that fast pace to a halt.
I loved the shoot through the air conditioning vents and the 2 boxes of books.
Yeah.
20s and 90s. Too racist, not racist enough.
Yeah.
I thought that was
1950s
fun.
history book. Too racist.
Yeah, fantastic.
It was my only gripe with that was there was just an obvious camera slowing from the movement, so you could read and get the joke, and then it kind of sped up and over the next one, and then slowed so you could read the joke.
Whereas
enough.
if it'd been like a purely visual joke, you could have just got it as you were passing by.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did that as well for showing Miss Hoover and Santa's Little Helper both passed out in the vents, and it's like, wait, wasn't Santa's Little Helper just at home, and why is he getting drunk with Lisa's teacher?
Oh, so I missed that entirely.
Yeah, I was taking notes, I think.
Very fast-paced episode. Well, what did stick out to you then, Phil, for better or worse?
Nice segue.
Fucking natural as fuck.
Yeah, you're getting good at this. Only 86 times.
Do you allow swearing in the podcast?
Fucking yeah.
I earned that little iTunes explicit little square there.
I always thought E was for everyone. Like on video games.
Yeah, it's like we had the joke last week. You're playing Wheel of Fortune on Australian television. It's like, okay, I'd like to buy Val U. There are 14 U's. I'd like to solve. Fuck, you can't.
Thanks for playing Winnie Spinny.
Winnie Spinny.
That was Peter's joke.
That's not bad. Not bad. I like a ton of notes. Most of them are pretty good. But I will start with the 2 ones I thought were shit,
Yep.
which was a terrible pun where Marge is trying to bake her cake and she's like, she turns on the oven to bake the cake and she says to camera or slightly off camera to no one, the preheat is on. I'm like, that's a terrible pun. I didn't like it.
I will say it feels like a very Marge line.
Yeah.
Yeah, but maybe like if she was saying it to her kids as like she's trying to be cool, but
Or
she
even
was
Maggie, I
just
suppose.
saying it to nobody.
Yeah.
Actually, I would have liked to see that. Then Maggie does like her rolly eyes and
Yeah, or maybe just be looking at her like with dead baby eyes. Like, You do not impress me. And then the other one was when it first came up. It says this episode, I don't know how it works. The thing now takes place between 2:38 p.m. and 3:04 p.m. or a.m., whichever one the morning one is. It's not that one.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah, that was
make that
dumb.
don't make jokes with time. Get the fuck out of the black title card and into the show.
Yeah, it's sort of things like that that really let them down because, and as well, the episode's called 24 minutes and they talk about it taking over half an hour thing.
Yeah.
Like, I know they're doing the 24 joke, but
Just say it takes place over 24 minutes.
Stay true to the joke.
yeah, it's like they couldn't work out the math. Oh, no, half an hour is much easier.
I mean, that's fine if I had written this script, but
Yeah.
for other people, do the math.
Well, I was going to say the moment of the story that stood out to me was Homer and Milhouse's little adventure, but I will say Marge's little story about making this cake and just her rugged determination to get it out there. I will say I didn't like her little fight with Helen Lovejoy, though.
Did feel unnecessary and just
Yeah.
I don't know if I saw that either.
where they both reach for the box of raisins at the same time and they're fighting with it.
Oh, was that in
One of the
one
small
of the squares?
cutaways.
Yeah.
I missed 90%.
You were
of
probably
it.
watching Homer in a dumpster because
No, I was
Yeah.
probably writing a note.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and then
Homer
watching
is in a
Homer
dumpster. Yeah, I thought it led to a lot of good material, or especially her. Okay, so 20 minutes at 300 degrees, 5 minutes at 1200. And just the way the oven explodes in front of Santa's little helper, like, I kind of liked that. And I love her solution to the problem that pink frosting will fix everything.
Yeah, I do kind of like Marge's determination to have anything at this bake sale. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter what, but she just doesn't give up.
Yep, just has to place. Why does she have a framed photo of her being disappointed at getting third place as well?
You don't?
So it's motivation for next year.
Yeah.
Also, the Callaways only ever get third, so that's as good as we get.
If we participate at all. I've got a medal that literally just says, you watched.
And you bought it for yourself.
Yep, naturally.
We should hand those out for the participation trophies in the index. All right, so play count. How many times before tonight have you seen this episode?
Just the once, I think.
Oh, really?
As many times as I've seen an episode of 24, nunts or round.
0. Absolutely 0.
Yeah, I've seen this episode a bunch. I generally don't like season 18. I maybe seen this 5 times or whatever. It's not a perfect episode by any means, but it is fun.
Yeah, I will say that's definitely the thing it has going for it.
So let's talk about some of those fun moments, the wacky things about this episode. Because they are doing this parody, it gives them a lot of license to push the boundaries.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of space for them to just run out. And because it's not a linear narrative and
Yeah.
they can jump in and out with multiple storylines
Yeah.
without worrying about how it actually happens, they just Family Guy it up the whole way through.
Yeah, definitely. And especially when you have 4 stories going on at the same time, it does have that very loose feel.
Also, somehow Lisa still manages to be the most boring character ever.
Oh, poor thing, just stuck in the comms room.
I absolutely loved Bart skating around on ketchup and mustard.
Oh, that was
And
great.
it gave me a nice throwback to Bart trying to fly with graffiti cans, with jetpacks. And I thought it was great kind of cartoonism.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, he looked like he was having so much fun sliding there, and it reminded me of Splatoon.
I love the gag before that where he's painting a mural of Skinner with mustard and ketchup, and Skinner comes in and goes, "Hey, don't you poop on me?" Because she's using grey poop on the mustard.
I hate myself for laughing at that pun. I really do.
I'm going to say this worked because it had both the bottle and Skinner in frame when it had the line. It didn't one shot on the bottle, move to Skinner,
Yeah.
back to the bottle or something like that. I think it framed it so well that that's why we all would laugh out of it.
Yeah.
Because it didn't grind to a halt for a bad pun, like just have it in passing.
No, and I'm only vaguely familiar with grey poop on.
Just that ad.
Yeah, just that ad. And I don't,
Yeah.
if they hadn't had the bottle in front of you so you'd see it, I don't think I wouldn't have picked up the poop on.
No.
I didn't get
double
it.
entendre.
No, I didn't get it.
No, I was about to say, because we lived in the States for a while,
Yeah.
there was an ad for a mustard called Grey Poupon that was supposed to be fancy for rich people, but you could buy it as a not rich
So
person.
they'll muck around with the mustard joke. Okay.
Yeah.
They do a parody of it in Wayne's World, where he stops next to the fancy car. Pardon me, do you have any grey poop on?
Yep, because that was the ad they were parodying. That's how big this ad was.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
It was like the 80s in the States, so
Yeah, fair enough, you don't.
Yeah, I also hate myself for laughing at Bart's little catch-up and poop-on drawing of Skinner that says, "Put me on your wiener." But this was a throwback to the old season 1 drawing where he goes, "I am a wiener," and wiener is spelt wrong. Yeah, so other wacky minutes. This is a very wacky episode.
This is Jack Bauer. Who's this? I'm a made a duty. I made a duty. Scan the database for I made a duty. No, it's a joke name, Jack.
Yeah.
I do thoroughly love the joke where he needs schematics of Jimbo's house, so Lisa sends him drawings he did in kindergarten.
There's no roller coaster room.
Where's the Shark Tank? Blueprints are all wrong.
I like the third photo where he's just scrolling on his phone where he's not actually looking at it, but there's just a picture of Jimbo in bed and then a closet that's half open and then a scary face in the closet.
I missed that. Oh, that's really clever. So I think that's sort of what this episode does well is it gives a parody of like an adult-orientated show, but it gives the focus to the kids. And even though, setting up a children's truancy unit is really fucking dumb and just wouldn't happen, you go along for the ride on this one, I feel.
I'm pretty sure that's also a bit of a riff on 24, because they have CTU, counter-terrorist unit. Here it's counter-truancy. There's also another acronym joke where they have TCBY, that container of botulised yogurt, but TCBY is the county's best yogurt.
Oh.
I thought it was Town and Country's best yogurt.
It could be. I am not a yogurt connoisseur.
Is this more American stuff?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
There was a TCBY near our house. All it did back in 1992 was vanilla or chocolate soft serve
Yogurt.
Wow.
It was the 90s. That was...
I think you say yogurt with inverted commas.
Is it safe to say they don't exist anymore?
I've no idea.
Okay.
I'm going to weirdly bet they probably do somewhere.
Yeah.
In one of those malls that's half closed down, a little bit depressing.
That just constantly have the soundtrack of Whistling Winds.
That is a classic soundtrack. Thanks very much.
Who could forget such hits as
And awkward cough at minute 37.
Damn it, now I need to awkward cough. Always happens.
other wacky moments of the episode?
Marge's oven goes to 1200 degrees.
Oh, yeah, that's 1200 Fahrenheit even. Yeah, that's still too much.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't that a book? Anyway.
Ray Bradbury's 1200, that's probably too much.
I did like, and then very quickly disliked the gag where Homer and Milhouse go to Moe's.
Yeah.
He goes, wait in the car. Leaves Milhouse in the dumpster.
Yeah.
Opens the door. Moe's reading a book called How to Be Your Own Dentist. I'm like, that's funny. But then Moe continues to be his own dentist. And you're like, this is gross.
Yeah, it really went from funny to uncomfortable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I was wondering if that perhaps was a play on a riff on the torture elements of 24.
Like, I kind of feel like it was.
Feet off the screen, him kind of just
Oh, yeah, probably.
lynching as a drill goes into his face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good observation.
It's pretty dark.
Was Martin implying that he hung himself a reference to 24?
It's just a
just
reference
dark.
to, I think, a lot of military deaths. They lay out the uniform and, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, the way he sort of like dressed himself reminded me a bit of Shawshank, but
Yeah, a
you
little
know.
bit of Shawshank. There's a few good men. Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's
so.
a lot of things like that, yeah.
Yeah, so
Yep.
I kind of like that because it was a parody of a lot of things, and does the cut up and he's just wedged himself.
Yeah, which you're like, oh, fuck. And then when he wedges, okay, that's kind of cute, but that was still pretty dark.
Yeah, I would say, this is the third hanging I've seen in The Simpsons since doing this podcast, which seems to be more than you would think for a children's cartoon.
Yeah, I think they just they just stayed on the hanging for a bit too long before the reveal.
Yeah.
Like, lose...
Because I literally had enough time to go, holy fuck, and then it passed on.
Yeah.
Like,
Just
okay.
lose that holy fuck second.
It's still not as bad as a guy who was in a rowboat in a lake and tied a motor to his neck and threw it off the edge.
Yeah.
To be fair, that was a dream sequence. But
To be fair, that's
still
scared
pretty
the shit out of me.
shocking.
Yeah.
What about the one where, Homer just puts his hand over Abe's mouth and just watches him die? Again, that was in a dream sequence.
I have missed
Still
so much.
terrifying. That was...
Yet not at all.
That
Have
was
you,
a
though?
fucked episode. A little nice bit of whack I did want to bring up was the reoccurring bit with Chalmers. It was like,
Yeah.
we can't let Principal Chalmers find out about this. Find out about what? Prediction sales for the bake sale are through the roof. I would love that. You don't know me at all.
I do love the you don't know me at all part.
Yep. Early press coverage is very positive. Again, Seymour.
This is going on your permanent record.
You have misgauged my enthusiasm.
I really liked the ant farm. I
Oh,
really
yeah.
loved that he was just doing it all for the ant farm.
Yeah, and the one ant that's now joined the terrorists.
Where's Phobos?
He's one of us now.
Give him a little pat.
Yeah, actually, I will say this ties into the heart of the episode. I like how you actually end up feeling for Martin at a certain point because, you can sort of see throughout the entire episode that he's a bit off.
Yeah.
He's really disheveled and whatever. And when that ant farm comes in, you actually, you feel sorry for him.
Yeah, but the bit where he clubs Bart over the head with the tuba, he looks manic as fuck.
Yeah.
And again, it's just how he's lit. It's
that was one of my favorite parts of the episode, was the shot from him dragging Bart's unconscious body down the hall. It looked really dark.
While still singing Skip to Maloo.
Definitely very...
Skip.
Very good.
That whole scene, I loved how it played out with Bart deducing, Nelson, why did you let him just skip along?
And I feel like it's another reference to 24's torture scenes where he puts the bucket on his head and just starts knocking it.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I feel. I mean,
I'm unclear of what you want.
I also loved when Lisa recaps so that we, the audience, get to know what
she's talking to Skinner and
as
goes,
you might,
well, as
you
we both know, but I'm just going to
you
pick
might
for
need
you.
reminding.
Definitely. So what were some other heart moments of this episode? Did you guys feel bumps anywhere?
It wasn't really a hard. It was an action episode. For the most part, I think feeling for Marge, who just really wants to contribute.
Yeah.
But it's all action.
And she ends up contributing the most.
Mm-hmm.
I think I felt the most for Martin out of this.
Yeah?
Like, he had the biggest emotional arc.
Yeah, true.
Once it was revealed.
He had something to lose, yeah.
Yeah.
We had a lot of someones to lose.
Tiny little someones.
Yeah, I kind of wish he got a bit of redemption and played a part in the resolution of the episode, but yeah, Marge just discusing her over burnt cake into the glass. That was just way too damn satisfying.
And I did like how it kind of foreshadowed that when she dropped it on the car, it dented the car as it fell down. And I was like, that's weird. That's a very bad cake. I'm like, These Simpsons, when they think ahead, when they're borrowing all the story points from someone else, they can do a really good job.
Well, that's what makes this episode so fun. There's a lot of elements that could make this convoluted, but they remember why they do things. Things set up other things. And I mean, there's a lot of groaning to be had in this episode as well. Like, I really don't like the ending when Jack Bauer comes back.
No, that was pretty weak sauce.
That was poorly done. And when he turns up with the megaphone and just yells at Lisa, well done.
Yeah.
I loved that bit. I thought they could have played more on just Jack Bauer yelling at them over a megaphone.
Like, that's his only tone.
Yeah. But they didn't do that. They did the...
I came here to tell you that was a delightful prank.
They just managed to take all the agents away and a bomb goes off in Shelbyville.
Yeah.
Which I'd forgotten Shelbyville was a problem, but apparently it's gone now, so...
Don't worry, guys.
Not
a problem anymore.
Yeah, it's these references to old jokes where they're like, hey, remember when we made this joke, but way better back in the day? You know, which town did we just crush like that?
Shelbyville.
Yay. But ultimately, though, did it feel like an episode of The Simpsons?
Yeah, Simpsons in a different format, but I think it did still feel like everyone's acting within character. Martin just isn't doing this for shits and giggles. He has motive.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's important with Martin because it's such a parody bottle episode. You could just go, in this episode, Martin's the
bad guy.
He's the bad guy, and you wouldn't need to explain it. But the fact that they did kind of makes it worthwhile. So yeah, it's kind of
the fact that it was also taking a toll on him because he looked stressed and you know, it wasn't just a sudden maniacal genius.
Yeah, exactly.
And he wedgies himself. Let's not forget that.
He knows what he's done wrong, and he pays for it.
For me, this had a lot of throwbacks to the episode where every little story in Springfield led back to kind of each other.
Yeah.
And it had a lot of elements of all of the characters acted consistently with what they've always done, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
You know, Lisa the narc, Skinner overly concerned, even down to Chalmers, and every character did what I thought they would do. Yeah. And it just worked nicely.
Yeah. And yeah, even though we haven't seen much of Homer and Milhouse's adventures, they totally acted like themselves in this. And even though Bart is like a stand-in for Jack Bauer, they still do the good thing of playing with that character archetype of having Bart sort of cut a deal with Skinner. You know, I'll go find the source of this if you do something for me.
Yep. What was it? Suspend punishment for all pranks, past and present, and also teach me a new dirty word I don't know.
Which I just want to know what it is. A word that used as a noun is a swear word.
Yeah, but like he whispers it. And, you know, Skinner's a Vietnam vet. He would have heard some stuff.
Tiger cage.
Just can't get the spices right. So you can say the integrity of the show is a little off, but yeah, it's The Simpsons wearing the clothes of another show. And
in that, guys, it's 100%, I think.
Yeah, and they're not putting Simpsons characters into another character the same way they would in like those 3 Stories episodes. They're just sort of bending the rules of the universe and using stylistic things to reflect the thing that they're parodying, and they do a great job of it. Like all the split screen stuff and all like the quick pans of the camera and briefly cutting to things for a half a second to remind you of the it was stylistically wonderful. Yes. But yes or no, would you watch this one again?
Yep.
Yeah, I would.
Yep.
Yeah, totally. We're going to watch it again. What playlist do we put it in?
Not right now, though.
No.
Okay.
We've got other Simpsons to watch.
Just chicken.
Elaborate pranks.
Yeah, sure. Mix this in with any of Bart's capers.
Oh,
I'm a big butt Skinner.
yeah. Bart's a hall monitor.
Yeah, the whole monitor
Mhm.
playlist. Okay, I dig it.
Separate Vacations, good episode.
I'd go with almost any of the homage, parody, satire episodes.
Yeah, mix this in with like Cape Fear, the
Yeah.
one with Sideshow Bob,
Oh, Cape
definitely.
Fear.
Such a good episode.
Not the elephants. Yeah, good Skinner and Chalmers, good Springfield Elementary stories. Or should I say Stinkfield Elementaries. And on that, I'll say good episodes with the bullies as well. We generally hate their appearances lately.
But every now and then.
I loved when Jimbo's mum went, I'm off to the store. And he's like, Mom, put on a top. The doctor says they've got to air out my... No, go home. Get out of here. And then Curly or who Dolph was like, looking good as always, Mrs. H.
Yeah.
Punches him in the face.
That's very Bill and Ted's.
Shut up, Ted.
Yeah. Dude, your mom's totally hot.
I just going back a moment, I really liked the opening scene where they enhance the footage. They
Dehance.
Till Skinner sucks.
Which is great.
We're almost getting to the end, guys. BT, what would you change about this episode?
Should fix the very ending, that very last scene. Get rid of Jack Bauer or do something else with him. Just a few moments like that, just ones that are in passing that really kind of drag it down a surprising amount.
Yeah.
Because other than that, I have a lot of fun with this episode. Yeah, so no major plot points, just more those little moments I would want to see patched up. I think we've covered already.
Sure. Phil, anything you'd like to change?
I think I'd have to watch it again just to see the entire episode because I feel like I've only seen maybe 60% of it.
Yeah.
So I can't really say there's anything that super didn't like. Maybe you could shorten down the previously in the credit scene, but apart from that.
Yep. Jim, what would you like to change?
I'd tidy up those title cards.
Yeah.
They didn't really hit home, and I think I'd probably redo them.
Yeah, definitely. And when it's sort of relegated to the start, if you got rid of them, you'd free up a few crucial minutes that you'd need for later in the show. Yeah, I don't know specifically what I'd change because there's nothing plot-wise which sticks out to me as being bad. Yeah, we just sort of mentioned a bunch of moments that irk us wrong, but that's rewriting jokes. It's not like fundamentally changing anything. Yeah, I'd totally cut that Mo bit way shorter, because, the joke was there in the book. Be your own dentist. That is fucking amazing.
All it needs is he's busy, and just leaves.
Yep, definitely. And musical moments. I think I mixed in the music of 24 really well into the Simpsons one.
I was like, there was music?
Yeah.
I missed a lot.
Well, yeah, just sort of that like dramatic like still the Simpsons theme, but it's got like a more tense instrumentation. But the 24 beeping does grate on my nerves after a while.
There were a few moments where it went for a bit too long.
Yep. Jim, do you have any other notes?
Of course, yes. 2 notes.
Yep.
First, Bart driving the car with his bum.
Yeah.
What's up with that?
I wasn't a fan.
What was that? That wasn't funny. It was weird.
No,
How would he push the pedals?
Yeah, I think steering he could do. The pedal pushing.
I think because it was just a visual in one of the small screens, I liked it because they didn't stop to look at it. It was just a thing in passing.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, I'll allow it, but it just looked at it and I thought, that's silly.
Very illegal term. I'll allow it.
Oh, I'll permit it. I permit that. And you know what? This shows I'm getting old and my heart spot is growing.
Yep.
That it upset me when Ralph got poisoned and the little rat got poisoned.
Yeah.
That really bummed
Me
me
too.
out because Ralph's lovely and he's clearly special.
Well, they also have the problem of they literally do the same scene twice. They show the rat reacting to the stink bomb, then they show Ralph. It's like you went one or the other.
You get the same reaction. And Ralph doesn't even say anything like, it smells like my underpants or something.
I think it was just to get him to run on the treadmill and to make him as dumb as a rat.
If they actually did that in the same scene, it would have sat well with me a bit better because they would have been like scaling up. All right, now there's the rodent. Now let's do the human test.
Yeah, well, that's how it works on the rat, but what about a person or a near person?
Or a special boy.
A special boy.
How about you, Phil? Any other notes?
I do like the bit where Milhouse is about to go in and apprehend the truants, and he says to Lisa, if I don't make it, there's a letter in my locker for you. I want you to read it. She's like, I've read it. And then Sidney goes, we've all read it.
Yeah.
Like we don't have time for your romance.
And
It's
also,
lame. Get over it.
we've already snooped in your locker.
But there's an implication there as well that the entire school has already read it. Like,
It's like old news to everyone but Milhouse.
Yeah.
There was a small bit where Homer and Milhouse were rolling down the street in their dumpster, and Flanders is walking by putting flies on the car's windows, but it just says Jesus.
I'm assuming there's maybe lettering underneath
No,
too small
it
for us
just-
to read, but yeah.
Well, it wasn't even lines. It was just
Yeah, true.
Anyway, I liked
It's
it.
just really consolidated pamphlet, you know.
Yeah.
You,
Yeah.
you get these Jehovah's Witness things that just
Oh.
go on and on and on and
Yeah.
on. Watchtower and
It's superliminal.
Yeah.
Watchtower.
Or perhaps he's Spanish and it's just Jesus. In the list of things that went into the greatest stink bomb of all time, one
Yeah.
was possum placenta, which
Yeah.
kind of grossed me out. And then the other one, the very next one, was sweat from a Goofy suit,
yeah.
which I hope is like an ex-Disney employee and not a euphemism for
Sweat
what-
from a goofy suit.
Well, I don't know, but when
Well,
it comes after possum placenta, you open up a lot of doors.
had a rough day at
True.
work. I've got a lot of sweat in my goofy suit.
Now I'm thinking about it.
It's just underwear made of scuba gear stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had that
Well,
as well,
material.
and like months of saved up farts, and yeah, they really went all out for this fucking thing.
Yeah. And then the other one was, when Bart's figured out who the mole is and he's on the
Yeah.
phone to Lisa and he's like, I'm going to tell you the guy whose name it is, who's the mole. Get ready to know his name because his name is, and gets hit on the head.
Yeah, that I love because it just reminded me all of those 1 hour long procedural drama shows
Yeah.
which milk out every fucking minute.
I'll tell you something very important tomorrow.
Yeah. They're not nice and concise like my 2 hour show.
Covering 3 episodes and 4 opinions.
That's true. Was that all your notes?
Yeah, that's everything.
BT, final note time.
I like when they're being lifted up by the hot dog water towards the fan blade, and Willie's like, I just sharpened those blades.
Yeah. Yeah, Willie had some good involvement in
Yeah,
this
it's
episode.
like, now, Bart, when your body gets trapped in there, make sure your spine clogs the fan. and then
Open to other ideas.
and at the end where, Marge runs up and throws her arms around Bart. It's like, oh, my special little guy, and Homer kisses him. He's like, you taste like hot dogs.
Yeah. It's such a great Homer thing to do. And in that same scene as well, Willie was just like, oh, just kill me now. I don't want to clean any of this up.
Yep. But that does it for me.
I only have a couple of notes now. I didn't like the bit where they lost Millhouse and then they wrote off a list of other dead kids and there was Sherry, Terry, and Wendell.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a bit too dark, but
Not necessarily dead, just agents lost into dumpsters, perhaps.
yeah, dumpster people now.
We are dumpster people.
There's a whole caravan of them floating around.
Yep.
Yeah. Homer at the bake sale was pretty funny. I like how he dug into Sarah.
Rice Krispies, really, Sarah?
No, way to phone it in.
Yeah.
Really
and then asking
harsh.
for money from Marge.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All the other wives gave their husband $20.
Here's another five.
dirty from fighting.
Fight him. He said his dad was Hulk Hogan. I knew that he wasn't.
That was great.
It was so silly, but yeah, it's so adorable. Something that I will never not find funny, and we've found over the course of this podcast that we really love Marge. There's just something about her wholesome sensibilities and the way she phrases things. And when she goes, oh, if anyone actually ate Bart's shorts, they'd have a tummy full of pocket garbage. Pulling out pamphlets, switchblade, and all that. So,
I like the switchblade's the first thing. And she's like, wow. Actually surprised by it.
yeah. But yeah, just pocket garbage. Fuck, you're adorable, Marge. All right, guys, it is time to rank this thing. Phil, kick it off, please.
It's sitting between a gold and a silver.
Yeah, I'm on a Gilbert as well.
Gilva.
I think I'm going to give it a silver only because I don't think it's got a lot of rewatchability on it. Like it's so fast and the story's so disjointed in the style that there's not really much that I'll really remember that from, apart from You Taste Like Hot Dogs,
Yeah.
which is kind of like, and it's not better than It Tastes Like Peanuts when you're kissing Hans Melman. So
Yeah. I want that thing out of here.
Dad, I missed you.
All right, cool. So silver for you.
I think silver, yeah.
Jim.
Jim's going to give it a really shiny bronze.
All right.
Real shiny. There's no rewatchability for me because I don't get the source reference.
Yep.
And I found it a bit chaotic. I find things that are based on time to be quite stressful. Just
Yeah.
the core conceit of this episode is that something has to happen in a certain amount of time, and it makes me anxious.
Is that why
So-
you never wear your watch?
Yeah,
Okay.
among other reasons. I don't like to be weighed down. So really shiny bronze, a lot of funny jokes.
Yep.
Really lovable characters doing things I like to see them do, but I probably won't watch this again.
All right, so a bronze for you. BT.
I'm on a silver, quite a fairly high silver. It could have gotten gold if there weren't just a few little tweaks, a couple of funnier jokes. But what's there, I think, is a lot of fun. And even without the full context of the parody that it's going for, I still feel you can get enough of context for it to make sense.
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah, I have a lot of fun. There's some good jokes. And next time I'm feeling sad, I'm going to think about Homer and Milhouse in a dumpster.
I fully agree. This is actually such a quintessential Silver for me, as in there is a lot of fun to be had, but you can't ignore some of the fundamental problems that it has. And I'd say a lot of those are caused just by the fact that it's stretching out and doing something different, a stylistic parody. I kind of agree with you about the countdown timer show. I always kind of rolled my eyes at a movie that, like, here is the thing that is counting down the time, and we're going to get it within a fucking millisecond.
Yeah, here's the MacGuffin that does nothing but advance the plot.
And they do it in this one, but I thought they did it to good effect with Lisa. Where's the turn? How do I turn this off? Oh, this big button. That's convenient. So I thought they at least played with that trope well. So yeah, this is an absolute Silver for me, and averaging out, this will be a dull Silver. This is actually the first dull Silver we've had in a very long time. This will be joining other such episodes as the Computer War Menace Shoes, where Homer's spreading rumors over the internet and then he gets taken to an island like the show Prisoner.
Oh, I love that episode.
Yeah, it's
you knew that one.
It's a weird one.
That's a fantastic episode. Because you have to know, again, you have to know the show references.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, wonderful.
Strong arms of the Ma as well, when Marge builds up her body and does muscle stuff.
Excellent episode.
Have you seen all these when you've told me you've seen nothing?
I've only seen good ones, apparently.
How about I Annoyed Gruntbot, where Homer poses as one of those battle bots? And,
so also, like, amazing ideas.
no, that's a good one as well.
Pose on Robot Wars, yeah.
And a couple of HD episodes that we liked, 500 Keys, where they're doing like 4 stories all about keys that they've acquired.
Come back, Pooter-Toot. People might be offended by your mild tastelessness.
Pooter-Toot. And the Nedliest Catch, when Ned and Edna hook up and become Nedna.
So close to being a good one. And they were like, what do you think, audience? Vote.
What? Yeah, because I actually almost gave that episode a gold, but then they reminded me, it fucking has this cop-out internet vote ending. We don't know whether we should keep these two characters together, so we're sending it out to you, internet. You decide.
No, that's
unfortunate, isn't it?
I know, it was a really good episode. Other than that, it was just like, that's a bit...
Absolutely cheap.
Kind of very, like, late MTV's, like when the internet was becoming a thing that you could talk to the internet.
Yeah, and dial in this phone number to register your vote.
Yeah, it was a bit tough because on the one hand, hey, they're doing something different, but on the other hand, it just felt really cheap. So
and those things don't hold up.
No.
Obviously, in rewatching, we can't affect it now. It's wasted time.
Yeah, exactly.
And also, the public are terrible at making decisions about anything.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I look at you, iSpread 2.0.
All right, guys, before we move on, is that reputation justified?
I already did the jingle.
I like how that's your second version of the jingle.
What's the jingle?
Is that reputation justified?
So Johnny D of The Guardian listed this episode as one of his favorite episodes in the history of The Simpsons.
He can fuck right off.
He wrote, one reason why The Simpsons has remained so watchable is that the parodies are getting sharper. The Departed in The Departed, The Da Vinci Code in Gone Maggie Gone, although nothing can top this excellent riff.
Gone Maggie Gone. That wasn't a good episode.
Is Johnny D from like Brooklyn?
Where's
Johnny
The
D.
Guardian? Isn't that British?
I don't know.
Yeah.
The Guardian?
Yeah.
The Guardian. Yeah, it's definitely British.
I like how you're saying it in a Boston accent.
It
You're
helps.
Like, this doesn't work.
God.
It must be from England.
Try it with any publication. The New York Times. The New York Times. Yeah, see? It's totally New York.
That sounded Italian.
Yeah. Forget about it. Now say, it's a me, Mario.
Amazing, mind-blowing thing I discovered. It's a Me, Mario is an anagram of Marissa Tomei.
Yeah, write it down. It is.
I just watched the episode of Marissa Tomei in Seinfeld last night.
It's great.
She's such a babe.
You have a Ma and a Noah.
So delicious. So bold, so funny. How is it you're not taking?
And Simon Carrera of The Times listed Sutherland's performance as one of the 33 funniest cameos in the history of the show. I think Sutherland was like not the best part of it. I thought he was adequate.
He certainly wasn't funny.
Yeah.
Also, one of the best 33. That's kind of
an odd.
What ribbon is 33rd? Blue and white checkers?
Were these reviews written contemporaneously? Do they come out as the show came out?
It varies.
You can tell he's a lawyer because he says contemporaneously.
And doesn't giggle at aniously.
Well, I'm going to laugh now.
And every time you're in court.
It's a mix. Some of these are based on like retrospective articles, like here's my top 10, and one of them was released at the same time.
I would be genuinely interested in knowing who is just a 24 fan who was smitten with an episode that homaged their favourite. Because remember a time when 24 was all everyone watched.
Oh, yeah.
So I think there's a bit of bleed over there.
Oh, absolutely. But in a negative review, James Green of Nerve.com put this episode on 8th of his list of 10 times The Simpsons jumped the shark, criticising this by the numbers Simpsons parody of Fox's #1 crime drama stank of cross-promotion.
He has not watched enough episodes.
He really
of The
hasn't.
Simpsons.
And Robert Canning of IGN...
Okay, so 20 out of 10.
Captain Soft Touch named 24 Minutes the best episode of the season, which isn't, that high a bar. Season 18 is kind of shit. Mm-hmm. And he gave this episode a 9.6 out of 10.
Wow.
Like, seriously, you could kick that guy in the balls and he would give you a 6 out of 10.
Fresh.
Excellent footwork.
Just happened.
All right, guys. Well, that about does it for 24 minutes. That was the 399th episode of The Simpsons. Now we're going all the way back to the 97th episode with Homer Loves Flanders.
You're numbering these things now, and it makes me weirdly uncomfortable.
Really?
It's like there's so many. Oh, God.
We're already 249 episodes in.
Out of 680.
Yeah. And we are back, and we just watched the classic and final episode for the evening. This was Season 5, Episode 16, Homer Loves Flanders. First released in March of '94, written by David Merkin and directed by Wes Archer. And this was also, fun fact, the last episode pitched by Conan O'Brien before he moved on to bigger and better things.
Oh, wow.
In this episode... Yeah, this is the one where Flanders gives Homer a ticket to the football game he's desperate to go to, and in turn, Homer sees the good side of Flanders, but he becomes obsessive in his friendship. Guys, what did you think?
Phenomenal as fuck.
So good. So good. Like, a lot of nostalgia, laughs, but my God, just everything, almost all the jokes are awesome, and there's just non-stop. Like, the first segment is just 40 jokes in 12 minutes.
It's just zappy. Every line is a joke.
Yeah, not a wasted
good joke.
second in the good ones.
Yeah.
I think we all took a moment to breathe once that first act was over. It's like, oh my God, we are only a third of the way through this thing. Amazing.
Yeah, it was pretty insane. I mean, it was more. The first act was more chock-a-block than like the second or third, but holy shit, there was a lot of stuff that happened in that.
Definitely.
That makes sense. That's when you want to hook an audience, and we absolutely got hooked on it.
And yeah, this is what I really loved about The Simpsons old days. They knew exactly who the characters were, and this is another episode where we're not breaking the integrity, we're just stretching the character's boundaries. And yeah, seeing Homer turn around on his once rival neighbor is just so delightful.
Especially because he's as annoying to Ned as he always is, but only because he's now like truly trying to be friendly to him.
Yeah.
But it's just he doesn't like him as a person.
Well, there's almost a reversal in roles where Homer becomes the annoying neighbor that Ned doesn't want anything to do with, but Ned's just too patient to say no.
Yeah, that's right. Like, Flanders could almost rationalize Homer more before he was like an obsessive friend. It's like, it's quite amazing. And that I gotta say, that's the moment for the story that really stands out to me is just how far they stretch Homer without making him break integrity. Yeah, I think it's quite a masterful feat of writing. How about you, BT? What is a moment from this episode that stands out to you, for better or worse?
A point I really want to point out is the bit where you see Ned getting pushed to his limit. It's where he's like, you're going to do charity work. Well, I'll come with you. And it's got this kind of strained music. It zooms in on Ned. He's like, that sounds super duper. And you get it 100. If you didn't quite get it from Homer barging in on dinner, you get it 100% where we're going from here. And I think to do that in one line of dialogue with the right music cue and the right zoom sells you that point 100%.
Absolutely, because he's not delivering it with his normal enthusiasm, and it's not even like one of his idly-diddly things. It's just super duper. That couldn't sound more sarcastic coming from Ned.
Yeah.
That's peak sarcasm.
Yeah. And then at the charity thing, Ned's just trying to do his usual thing, and Homer comes in and then gets all the fucking credit.
Yeah.
Homer's now stepping on his turf.
But I also like that Ned never yells at anyone going, no, he was only charitable because he was bored. I do this all the time. It's more the implication that that's there and that's on his it's on your mind, but Ned never actually says it.
No, definitely. He still tries to be Ned until that end moment where he breaks. How about you, Phil? What is a moment from this episode that stands out to you?
Like so many moments.
Oh,
I
yeah.
know, it's
So
really
many.
hard to pick. That's why I went broad.
Even just like the beginning where the episode starts with Eye on Springfield, and it's only like 2 gags that aren't related to anything else. But the first one is just government trained people with rifles miles from your home. They call it the army, but it could also be called the Killbot Factory.
A much more alarmist name for it would be the Killbot Factory.
Like so ridiculous. Like just like makes no difference to anything, and then just segues right into the lead story, which is there's a big game on, and then Homer spends $50 buying tickets from Bart that are for free. Oh, that made me laugh way too much. He's like,
I love you,
they're not tickets to the game, Homer. And he's like, oh, yes, they are. Buy 1 week, get 1 free. Damn it. And then he's like, oh, free week. And then he's thought bubble.
He chooses
for some
Marge's
reason,
hair.
He chooses Marge's hair. And he's just standing in front of a mirror going, I love you, homie. And then he says to himself out loud, I don't need her at all anymore. Was that like
I got the hair. That's all I'm actually attracted to, apparently.
It was like a minute and a half in, and there's 5 gags that I literally laughed out loud at.
And not to forget, you want to get these tickets in you now. Tickets not to be taken internally. See, because of me, now there's a warning.
Oh, that, you're laughing already from the internal joke.
Yeah.
And then you get the follow-up. Because me, now there's a warning.
Yeah, it's so beautifully rapid fire.
It's
and
that
just,
1-2 punch.
Set it up, knock it down, just freaking amazing. And of course, bit of a football theme. I like to try and find an episode with football in it to bring to you, Phil. So when I did the algorithm and saw this would come up, and I'm like, oh, fuck yes.
I'll have you know, the resident football expert.
Brilliant.
He's the one who taught us that football has no chandeliers.
I mean, outdoor football doesn't.
No, but indoor.
There's
And you got to
minimal
get it.
chandeliers. I think you've underplayed the number you need.
Yeah, well,
Or might want.
Chandelier.
How about you, Jim? What's a moment from this episode that stands out to you?
In my note taking, I ran into 3 pages.
Yeah.
You
I'll
were
call this
furiously
a
skipping.
3-pager.
Oh,
That'll be my reference. To
And you
a good
too.
Yeah,
episode.
usually I double space my note, but you can see at the end there I'm starting to compress a bit more.
Probably what I liked most about the episode,
Yeah.
and how I know it's a classic episode of well-written Simpsons, is that the payoff moment when Ned finally snaps, it's from Homer breathing through his nose.
Yeah.
And he's done all these things that probably would have justified a bit of a blow-up, like destroying his car and his boat,
What are the
stealing
odds?
all of his glory,
Getting zesty Italian in Todd's eye.
ruining his picnic. All of those things, it's breathing too loud during prayer.
Mhm.
And I just thought that was such a beautifully wonderful moment, because up to that point, he would have been justified. And at that point, he's suddenly not.
Yeah, he looks like the bad guy.
Right. And it just works so lovely. It's just great. I think it's just perfect writing.
Yeah, total straw that breaks the camel's back.
And just how it's shot as well. It says that slow pan on Homer. That sound gets louder. It does that tight zoom on his nose. It's just wobbling up.
The whistling nose is awesome.
I really want to know how they managed to get that sound. Was there like a particularly wheezy person on the Simpsons staff?
We're just like, okay, we need this sound effect. If any of you get a wheezy nose, come into recording.
It sounds like someone's sleeping,
Yeah, you need the other side though.
like a snoring noise.
I can't do both, sorry guys.
Maybe it was
I'm
Frank
only
Welker.
half.
we should have done this before you got your deviated
Yeah,
septum.
I'm betting that noise came from Hank Azaria.
Play count. How many times do you think you've seen this episode before tonight?
Oh, wow. 30,000 tickets.
Definitely. All right, just stopping there for a second. That'll be $900,000.
Look, I only got $10 on me. Can pay less later.
Yes, sure. Have you guys ever slept out for tickets at all?
God, no.
No, it's not really a thing anymore. So.
Well, no, I did it once for Pearl Jam in like 2002 or something.
Mhm.
And yeah, that was just when Ticketek.com was starting to become a thing. We were only like 7th or something in line, and the tickets had practically sold out by the 3rd person.
Wow.
Jesus.
Yeah, like we had to settle for like 2 seats in row XX and 4 in double Z.
What, you really had to settle for seeing Pearl Jam?
What?
Bazinga.
I knew
Walked
someone
into
was
that
going to
one.
say that.
Oh, Pearl Jam are the best. Not the latest albums, but still.
Not all their other albums, but that first one from 20 years ago, pretty good.
Oh, I will not hear a bad word about Eddie Vedder. So, play count. How many times have you seen this episode?
I don't know, I'd reckon it'd probably be up in the 20s.
Yeah.
Incidental viewings and repeats on Channel 10 during the summertime.
Yeah, definitely. Jim?
Yeah, I guess so. 5 to 10, something like that.
Yeah, a good way to think of it we found is sort of think about it, how many times a year do you think you've watched this since it aired? And like definitely in the early days, this is one that I watched non-stop. This is one of my favorites. There's so many goofy, fun Homer moments and yeah, I definitely put this over 50. Like I VHS taped and bought the DVDs and all that. So yeah, let's talk about some of the wacky moments of this episode. Yeah, boat flying out from sea to land on Ned's car. What are the odds? Yeah.
Also, Homer's car is yellow.
Yeah.
It's very strange.
Weird.
Yeah.
And what season was this?
5.
So they would have had it like pink by now, for sure.
Yeah, maybe
just
they
odd.
forgot.
Maybe they ran out of that particular color.
Maybe it's a nod to the audience that this is a parallel universe.
Ooh, I like it. We built a mini mall, so they built the bigger mini mall. They made the world's largest pizza, so we burned down their city hall.
And then poor Marge is just fucking tripping in the kitchen.
Poor Marge, she got high for free.
Yeah, that's true.
And the turkey escaped, so it was all good.
Quite frankly, I think I'm overdone. Yeah, I actually had to get my parents to explain that to me, and they were like, oh, she's just sick.
How about Mr. Burns with, fellows, there's a little crippled boy who wants you to win this game. I know because I curled him myself to motivate you. Just the follow-up of, I hope they win. Or Mr. Burns says he's coming back.
Yeah.
I do like that, but you don't need to see, like, I think it feels like the newer seasons, they would show that happening in like a flashback, or they would show it and then he'd go, I'm doing this to motivate the team for next week's game. Like, they've just got it wrong now from where they had it before. It was just like, make a mention of the joke, make it funny, then cut to where the next joke is, and then cut away. And then we don't need to see anything more about Milhouse. It's all...
Yeah, it's the double-edged sword of Simpsons being able to do more with the animation in the newer episodes, because back here, they could only really afford static shots, so the words had to be great. And that's what you get a lot of in this episode. There isn't that much animation-wise that's visually that appealing. Like, in that big crowd shot where they're looking at all the people lining up, they're just fucking stick figures. But yeah, the words of it all is so damn important. So yeah.
This might be a weird thing to say, but I've never thought about how much it costs to animate moving things as opposed to static shots. I suppose that makes sense.
That was why things like your Japanese animations like Pokemon would have everything fixed except for a hand or a mouth.
Yeah,
right.
Interesting thing about the old like Hanna-Barbera cartoons, the reason every character had like either a neckerchief or a tie or Scooby-Doo had a collar was they could use the same animation for the body and just move the head.
Yeah. So I had heard that, but I'd never equated that to being cheaper.
Yeah.
Got to draw all their cells.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing with anime as well, where you see the background's moving, and that's just usually 3 frames of animation, and you can keep the character static but still keep it visually interesting.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and I think that's what's going on here. It's actually the inverse. The words are super interesting, even though a lot of the animation isn't. But, I mean, yeah, they still had a lot of room for big wacky gags, like the big Terminator tribute.
Yes, that was excellent.
Yeah, if Homer melding in and out of the bush wasn't enough, having him chase him down holding 2 buttons.
I never thought that was a Terminator reference.
Yeah, it always reminds me of the bit where the T-1000 comes through the bars in the prison.
Because they sort of do that similar music as well. And yeah, that hedge bit. Oh my god.
And in the hedge bit, I don't know if it's in the actual show or just in my head, but does it make a sound as he he pushes through it like the Terminator would?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. And just the way he has a still static face as he's just morphing into the bush, just going.
It's like, this
back.
is a normal thing.
Yeah.
That's like his exit line on that, where he's climbed on the back of the car, being dragged along, gets thrown off. Like, guess he didn't see me.
Yeah.
So no menace there, but yeah.
Ever the optimist.
I did love the visual gag of Homer looking up to take some moments with God.
Oh, yeah.
And we discovered it's a waffle that was thrown on the ceiling, which he then proceeds to eat.
I know I shouldn't eat thee.
But I love that, like that. It's only the second time he looks at the ceiling and yells to God that Marge comes in and goes, "That's not God, that's a waffle." But like the first time, he's just like, "Oh God, give me anything to get these tickets," and it's just a shot as in you would normally see. And then when they do the second time, when he's doing the second time, it's revealed that he's been yelling at God, but it's really a waffle on the ceiling.
Well, it's a great thing because it justifies the odd camera angle of looking down at Homer like you were God in God's perspective.
But it's just waffle POV.
And then it also raises the implicit question, why is there a waffle on the ceiling? And why has it been there for years?
Maybe since breakfast. I don't know if it's been there for years.
Yeah, that's true.
But there were just so many fantastic moments where they skewer some issue Stan Taylor.
Yep.
I used to stay partying all night and sleeping with lingerie models, but then Ned showed me that there was more to life.
Yeah.
Professional athletes.
Always
Always wanting
wanting
more.
And his nickname as well, Stan the Boy Taylor.
Yeah. Stan, he's our boy. If he can't do it, no one.
Well. Oh, fantastic. Look, we'll get into more of the wacky moments as we go along, but how about the heart of this episode? Did you guys feel the bumps between Homer and his love for Flanders?
Full heart on this one. Full heart. I think Homer was definitely true to himself, but you could see his motivations and his caring in his own way, and you could understand Ned's frustration, absolutely.
Because he's still trying to be a good person throughout this whole thing. He's trying to still accommodate for Homer. And
Well, he's trying to be a good Christian person, which is by not saying the mean things to the person that he wants to say them to. Not that he's not thinking them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Take that, Christians.
Homer's big moment where he defends Ned is like a really beautiful bit, and then Ned's, he comes over and is like, "You really are a true friend." It's beautiful, man.
Yeah, it's really nice.
But it also stops it from being saccharine when, in a completely meta moment twice in the show where Lisa and Bart are talking, is like, wait, is this the end of our wacky adventures? And then to cut to the next scene, and especially when it says Thursday at 8 p.m., the following Thursday at 8 p.m., and you just go, shut up, Flanders. Whew, back to zero.
I think that was made more powerful having just sat through 2 episodes of where the Simpsons would one day end up to see them inside of an episode talking about how wacky the show was and mocking how silly an episode could get with them in a haunted house.
Yeah.
That being the gag, that was too out there even for the Simpsons, which of course would not be the case in 5 years.
No, that would be the plot.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Not in a treehouse
They
of horror
morphed
episode.
into what was their joke. They became a parody.
Became everything they hated.
Yeah.
But also I kind of think, like, if in the new seasons now, or the new, more recent season, if they did a meta break where they stopped, talked about the show that they were in and what could possibly happen to the show, I feel like if I saw that in an episode now, I would flag it as being a stupid thing to do. And I think it's maybe because it's in a good episode anyhow, and it's a bit nostalgic that you're kind of like, oh, it's a bit past. But even watching it then, I was like, I know it's supposed to be on the nose, but I feel like it's not as good as it could have been.
Yeah, well, I think it gets away with it because you're already having a good time.
Yeah,
so.
absolutely. Yeah, it's not like another thing that you hate about this episode, but just a bit where you're like, I didn't mind it, but I thought that if I'd seen this in a new episode, I would hate it.
No, definitely. And there would have been a lot of ways that you could fuck up this episode, like having Homer sort of go too far and then wanting to become a Christian or something like that, or have Flanders snap too early. The thing is, everything around this episode built up so well, and everything was so purposeful that, you forgive the meta commentary, and also you find it amusing. I found. Anyway, I did. I keep speaking for you.
I suppose, it probably viewed in context and not just glancing over the titles of that season. Almost all of the episodes that precede this one had something grandiose about them. This is literally Homer and Ned swapping places for an episode and playing with the ideas of friendship and patience and Christianness and what it means to be a good neighbor.
Yeah.
It was very what could be otherwise mundane kind of ideas. And just to kind of go back and disagree with you slightly there, Phil, I think that the conclusion works so much better because they take you to such a silly place as their reminder this show has wacky adventures. That we've just done friendship, but we could have done a haunted house.
Yeah, I think like it does work in that throws to the haunted house in the next week time. Like I don't mind it as a gag. I'm saying that if I'd seen it, and I don't even mind it in this episode, but I think if I'd seen it in something newer, and maybe because it wouldn't be in such a great episode to start with, but I think they would flag it as a thing that would irk me.
And it's also the context of the time it came out, because it came out when that was kind of a that would never happen kind of episode. Yeah. Whereas now that's feasible.
Yeah,
fair enough.
Yeah, definitely. And like you're saying, James, it was such a deep character study in this episode that didn't have a lot of wacky elements. Like, especially around season 5, they sort of really started stretching the bounds. This was, more of the down-to-earth sort of episode. That had a couple of wacky things happen.
I mean, same disc, Homer goes to space.
Yeah.
So.
Ultimately, though, did it feel like an episode of The Simpsons? Yeah, I can't argue with any of the integrity. This is what I was saying before, where you're not breaking the characters, you're just sort of stretching who they are. Yeah, this is what it'd be like if Homer turned around on Flanders for a bit.
Totally. And it was entirely conceivable that Homer would turn around for a nacho hat and to get some That was all it would take to win his heart, would be a nacho hat.
Yeah, all it took was, okay, fine, I guess I'll go hang out with you for a little bit, finds out how generous and nice he is, and then all of a sudden it's, oh yeah, of course I'll hang, you're my best friend.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think Homer was different to what he always is in any episode in this. It's just his motivations are...
Selfishness.
Yeah, selfishness. He wanted tickets, he gets free booze and football and nacho hat. It's all the things he likes. So it's not like he's doing anything super weird.
He was basically just hanging out with an enabler.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Really. And also taking other people's food while he was at it. That bit with passing down the 2 dogs, 2 sodas, and 2 ice cream bars.
Yeah, I know the bit where the ice cream bars get to him. There's a bite taken out of each.
Yeah. What the hell happened to my dogs? I want answers. Fuck, I love that quote. And yeah, so as if the day of football and beer and food and all that wasn't enough, Flanders passes on the game ball to him. Oh, that's such a beautiful moment there.
Yeah, and I like how he goes, this is the nicest thing that anyone's ever done to me. It's like, you insert, like, he actually sees the generosity that Ned is rather than maybe taking him for a ride.
His wife gave him 3 children, but Flanders
gave him a 4th.
Stitch face.
Stitch face.
And I like the follow-up where he's just shoving the wedding photo in the bin and Marge's like, Homer, that's our wedding photo. Now quit living in the past.
Yeah. That's another thing that I like about the character moments in this episode. You don't see the rest of the Simpsons family getting on with the Flanders, and it's sort of like a two-way street like that.
Yeah, I think everyone's kind of pissed at Homer for bringing them together, but then Lisa and Marge do get in on the food fight, so...
Yeah.
But the Flanders do not.
No. They don't even get on the fruit punch.
Or the pixie sticks.
Can I shout out Mo in this episode for reading to the sick children and the homeless?
Talk about the heart.
All heart. Our boy Mo.
I was just like, and he's reading Little Women.
I know. When all the girls, they were little women.
If this gets out, the next sounds you make will be muffled by your own butt.
That's right.
It's such a nice way to see, like, he comes in, like, Homer's trying to bring him ingratiate into his life. And he's like, here's my family. It's the bar. And you know that Ned's not going to be comfortable there, but he recognizes Mo, and there's just that little snippet there, so you know, okay, he's got a connection at the bar now. It doesn't matter, and then just to call back to it, just ever so quickly. I think fucking excellent.
It was going into, in my view, issues of generosity and Christianness, and it was riffing on that idea and exploring the idea. Mo, who is all rough exterior, runs a bar, is secretly giving up plenty of time to do charity work, but wants no recognition for it. Insists that Ned keep it secret. Ned's doing it regularly and getting no accolades for it. Homer turns up begrudgingly, gets redressed because they think he's a homeless man coming in because he smells so bad.
And we'll do what we can about the smell.
And ends up being lauded as big fat man with big fat heart. Probably my biggest laugh of the episode was on the same spinning newspaper was little thin man accused of robbery. Which
big fat man with big fat heart,
I've never noticed that before, and after 25 years, this is an episode still giving.
Yeah, it's classic.
I love how they dress him as well. He looks like fucking Doug Stanhope. Like, I don't know if you know that comedian.
Yeah.
Looks like Rodney Dangerfield.
Yeah, I'd pay that. Yeah. Did anyone catch the first book that Mo's reading? He mentions a horse named Flicker.
Yeah, I don't.
It's Black Beauty, I'm pretty sure.
Pardon?
Black Beauty.
That makes sense.
Oh. What's that? Book about horses?
Book about horses.
It's a book about horses.
I wouldn't know.
Specifically, a black horse named Flicker.
It's deformed.
What?
Yeah, it's just got this one mongy eye. Can you say mongy on a podcast?
Sure.
Is it a word?
Yeah.
I had an American ask me once, what's scungy?
That's fair.
It's like when you haven't taken your underpants off for 3 days and also played sport.
Yeah.
You've got a bit of a sweat in your goofy suit. That's when you're scungy. Yeah.
Swish.
Thank you. So yes or no, would you watch this one again?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, totally. What playlist are we putting this in? So good Flanders episodes.
It's good football episode.
Yeah.
Water skiing.
Yeah, you could pair this with the one where, hurry Marge, the snapping turtles are massing.
Episodes where they nearly sacrifice Ned Flanders. Because Grandpa's, let's sacrifice him to our God.
We used to do all the time in the 30s.
And people do start massing on him.
Yeah.
Takes a step forward.
Yeah, the mob mentality, like in the other one where, quick, let's go get him. They're heading to the old cider mill.
No, we're not.
Let's go to the cider mill anyway. Get some cider.
Easily distracted Bob. Yeah, that's a great idea.
Well, until caught out, Homer was going to flog him in the head with lead pipe.
I do love even Homer has that moment. So you're going to hit in the head with that pipe? He's like, no, damn it.
Hell, what you doing with that pipe there? Are you going to give my noggin a flogging?
Well, yeah.
They both laugh at it.
We laugh about it now.
We're such good friends. Yeah, that's good for playlists. BT, is there anything you'd like to change about this episode?
Ooh, I don't think so, but let me have a quick flip through the notes here. You know what? I don't think I quite get Dr. Hibbert's cheers to Homer Simpson and his recent charity work. Cheers to this rusty tailgate.
It's so
Jeez.
out of place.
Yeah.
Cheers. He says cheers, I believe.
Ah.
Cheers?
Yeah,
Which is-
cheers.
Is it the same as cheers?
No, it's the
No.
opposite.
With a J.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like if you-
cheers to Homer, cheers to the tailgate.
Yeah.
But I suppose because it's so quick, it doesn't really matter. Like it's a
Yeah.
half second.
I think it was just to give us another moment where Homer unreasonably gets accolades for charity work he didn't do.
Yeah.
Or he didn't,
No, I get
do
that.
in
That
the right
part's
spirit.
fine. It's more the
Trying to add a
tailgate.
joke
I never
to it,
quite
yeah,
got.
sure.
I always felt like this scene was out of place, though, because it comes like well after Homer's charity work. Homer's not even there in that scene. It's not like they're praising him. They're just like randomly congratulating a man when he's not there. But I see functionally that it helps break up that previous scene of Homer crashing the boat and then Ned's bell tower dream.
Yeah, no, I think
Yeah.
I know. I know functionally why it's there. It's just
Yeah, which, oh my god, that bell tower scene
that's
is
brilliant.
intense.
amazing.
Yeah.
And it's from the film Deadly Tower, apparently.
Wow, that's a pretty straightforward title. I thought it was just that guy in Texas who just had a brain tumor and
I
went
thought
up
it was
and
just
shot a bunch of people from
All
Beltown.
those
Oh,
people
dear.
that did all that stuff in the States all the time.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be any one of the
Well,
many gun
This
references.
was back when it was rare.
Not that
Rarer.
rare.
Rarer.
Literally,
Rarer.
give us a call, America, and let us know when your mass shooting started. Thank you. Also,
I think it's called the Civil War.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
They've
it
been
was-
doing it for a while.
War of
guys.
Independence, even before.
But they were still basically British back then.
Yeah, true.
They don't like admitting it, but
no, no.
Yeah.
Any musical moments from this episode? They had a bit of the Terminator music in that scene.
You've got
two tickets to paradise.
And I love how he just comes up when he's like mourning that Ned Flanders got the tickets, and he accidentally turns the radio on,
Yeah.
and it kind of gives you that, like, it seems like it gives him the idea, and he's like,
Yeah, he's slowly like succumbing to the beat as well.
Yeah.
He's just like got an upset face, but he's nodding a little. Then
Yeah.
he's smiling, and then he's like getting into
jamming along and
"Yeah, also
excellent
reckon-
guitar riff.
Yeah, my-
excellent guitar riff. Oh
my
my
other
god!
note was when he's doing the mouth guitar, like he's bow, 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 bow.
Yeah,
I think if I saw that bit now, I think that would be a joke that went for too long.
yeah,
I think it works. I think it's just context. I think it's just.
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm not saying it's not, but I'm saying like if that was transplanted into a new episode,
But it would
now-
never turn up on the back of him losing something.
Yeah, they wouldn't
being
be there for
sullen.
a reason.
It wouldn't be done to tell a
Yeah.
joke. It would just
it would just be, hey,
a
let's
filler
listen to the
moment.
radio for
Yeah.
a moment.
Yeah.
Because I find so many things in the new episode so aggravating
Mm.
Yeah.
and just a little bit dumb or lazy, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, a lot of those jokes as well are doing the let's see how long we can drag this out joke.
Yeah. And so I just want to make sure that if something similar happens in an episode that I already like, that I still give it credence or give it notice rather than just going, everything this episode's great, because everything is. Like, I don't go, this is a bit I hated.
Yeah.
But I have to go, if this same thing happened, would I flag it?
Yeah, we've been trying to work out what the line on this, and usually it just comes down to context.
Yeah, absolutely.
How much fun are you having at the time?
I think there's what makes a good joke is pacing and timing and punch and all that stuff. And it's
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
it's hard to explain why a joke works, and that one certainly does. But I think it also is worth reflecting on the fact that what we now have as an edifice of The Simpsons is built on
Yeah.
episodes like this, where we they got to set up the rules of animated comedy.
Yeah.
They
Yeah,
were
pretty
the
much.
rules.
Mm.
And so when they wrote this was probably the first time you'd seen a cartoon character just sit there and air riff and just hum along. And that was kind of cute.
Absolutely.
Now
Just go
it's
from such
old
a-
hat.
Moment of
Yeah.
devastation to just everything's good again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and,
definitely.
And same with the meta comment. It was something that wasn't done a lot, and that's sort of all The Simpsons were doing in the first episode we watched tonight. Look at what we're doing. Isn't it wacky? And whereas it was only twice in this episode. Phil, what are some of your final notes?
Is a nacho hat a real thing? And if so, should I eat it?
I've looked it up. I most things that talk about how to make one reference The Simpsons.
Right.
Yeah,
So it was not a nacho hat. So I find that to be more remarkable than the script writing, that someone invented a nacho hat.
Yeah, it might have been a thing, only far less known, but it definitely popularized by The Simpsons.
There you go.
Definitely. And as a kid, I thought those were the lyrics to Macho Man. They were Nacho Man.
Yeah, excellent. The other one was when Homer's driving with Ned into the stadium, and he's like, "Quick, duck! I don't want my friends to see you." And
Yeah.
like, hey guys, and Joe Spice is like, "Oh look, Homer's got one of those robot cars," and you just hear it crash, and Carl goes, "American robot cars." Yep.
Oh, it's so relevant.
And then the second time they do that callback, he's like, "Hey guys, this is my friend Ned Flanders," and he's like,
Yeah.
"What did he say?" He's like, "I don't know, something about being gay."
Yeah.
Just
the callbacks in this episode as well, like just so amazingly sophisticated, I think. Jim, do you have any other notes?
As Chief Wiggum is putting Ned into the police car.
Yes.
Where's your Messiah now? It's just such an unnecessarily mean thing to say to him.
and then he just points at the bus and he's like, "He's hired goofballs, everybody."
Which, again, not sure what goofballs are.
Yeah, the goofballs as well. Yeah, talking about callbacks and stuff in this episode, the amount of times that they refer to goofballs and
Hepped up on goofballs.
Yeah, the most G-rated way of just referring to someone not being all with it.
yeah.
Yeah. This sounds like
Goofballs.
a old person's 1960s reference to recreational drugs.
Yeah.
It's just like between when opium was legal and pot wasn't,
Yeah.
goofballs was the thing.
Well, it was actually Ned that first said hepped up on goofballs, and then everyone else sort of ran with it. It was kind of delightful in that way.
Yep.
I quite enjoyed the rapping Ronnie Reagan, although I didn't.
well.
I get it.
Well,
It was just-
It was a thing, very early
Strange.
days. There was a guy who was making rappy Ronnie Reagan tapes.
So yeah, that was
He did say well a lot.
that was a nice little. You know,
Well,
it was a nice
played
little
that
break.
tape. Yeah, they played that tape for 10 seconds in the episode, and it was just well. He said nothing else. And he's still like, yeah, I could get.
Iconic, yeah.
It's, just these weird musical fads that happened, like in the other episode where they mentioned Ray J. Johnson.
The only
You can call me.
Yeah.
That's literally all I know about Ray J. Johnson is that quote from The Simpsons.
You're
I
only
know-
famous because of The Simpsons.
I know
Yeah.
nothing else about him.
That's pretty much all his shtick was as well. That you could call him one thing, but you couldn't call him another.
So like every person ever.
Yeah. And all the way up to Madison Avenue, who didn't want you to call them baby.
Understandable.
That's
bad.
the world's weirdest callback.
Yeah.
I don't know. Have you been on this show before?
Yes.
I have a.
My heyday was the late 90s.
Welcome to the club.
Was that all your notes? Sorry, Phil?
The only other one I've got is, how dare you talk about Flanders like that? This man has turned every cheek on his body.
He might even be better than me, or what? How about you, BT? What are your other notes?
I have several. Okay. Well, now you got a lawsuit on your hands. Just kidding.
Yeah.
Over 230 channels locked out.
I really love this bit because, I don't even know what the cartoon they're referencing, but the animation looks distinctly different, where there's only a frame or two of animation with their actual mouths moving.
Yep.
Again, nice thing. It's actually a way for them to cheap out on the animation, but it's super effective when contrasting with The Simpsons.
Indeed.
Correct.
When they walk into the church, you just hear the whispers of, "There's Ned Flanders, the fallen one, the evil one. I bet he wrote Homer rocks all over the bathroom."
Is that what they said?
Something like that. It's quick, and I only half heard it. But
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Homer's been to the bathroom early just to write Homer rocks all over
I
it.
imagine it's been there for ages. Like, wonder who did this, and it must have been Ned. He's hepped up on goofballs.
Reminds me of when Homer's like, I wonder who that El Barto is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Can't talk. See Flanders. Later sex. And my last one is love Marge, not hate. Love. You've hated Ned for years. In fact, you wanted to bash his head in and steal his tickets. That was you.
Again, the callbacks in this episode. Oh my goodness. All right, time for my final rapid notes. Do I have a theme for that one yet?
I mean, you did, but you didn't drag it out. So it's like, what was it? Just like, get ready for notes.
Here come the notes.
If I-
So Homer sleeps out for the tickets. It's like, second in line, all I had to do was miss 8 days of work.
the money you would have waited for work, you could have got tickets from a scalper. In theory, yes. Jerk.
I like how Flanders asked for the cash value on the ticket so he can claim it on tax. It reminds me of, it's a later episode, but Flanders goes, well, I should claim cash teller printer ink, but I do like the way fresh receipts smell, so nah, not a deductible. Yeah, Homer bragging that he's invincible and just gets fucking walloped with a keg.
Dodges the can, walks
Yeah.
with a keg.
It feels like there's a saying in there.
You dodged the can, but now you got to watch for the keg.
Yeah. The shelter that they were working at is called Helter Shelter. Very excellent Beatles joke.
And then underneath it says originally set up by like James Helter or something. Like there was a kind of a weird.
Yeah.
This is why it's called this. It's not.
When Flanders is saying grace, making grace, doing grace.
I think saying
he's not doing grace.
You don't do grace on the kitchen table.
That's where we have turkey. So when he's making grace, he blesses the middleman for jacking up the prices. Oh, yeah. And then when Homer busts in and they're talking about, I got to go do charity work tonight. And he goes, Judge is making you do that too, huh? Stupid lack of public urinals.
I also like that the whole time he's having that conversation, he's just eating food off people's plates.
Yeah. Not even waiting for someone to serve him up a plate. Just like, oh, your drumstick looks nice.
And he comes in through the window. Because he just like, as soon as he basically turns into Steve Urkel.
Yeah. I think it might have been a Beatles reference. Oh, wait, no, that was a female and it was a bathroom window. Never mind.
I'm almost going to give you credit for that one.
Speaking of low-key hostility.
Low.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
Low energy hostility.
Yeah, very different. Go maul yourself. I'm busy.
But yeah, that nice subtle wink to the ongoing relationship between Maude and Homer and how it's strained at best.
Here he's go, well, Rod and Todd are, and the wife has a thing for me, but she hides behind a thinly veiled line of hostility.
Yeah. And I like when Rod and Todd just wig out on the pixie sticks that calling each other the worst names they can think of. Melonhead and Zitface.
One of them says go to hell. I mean, that's huge for them. Jeez.
Lies make baby Jesus cry.
Yep.
And yeah, I just got to bring up that hedge again. That is fucking fantastic. And at the root of so many Simpsons memes jokes, again, if we can't plug them enough, go check out Rock Bottom.
Yep.
And my final note is I will never not love him going in together. In a perfect world, we would be the Flimpsons. All right, guys, let's do this. It's the final ranking of the night. Let's rank this thing. Jim, kick it off.
That's a shiny gold.
Gold?
One of the best episodes, in my opinion. Yep.
Yeah, not getting the cubic zirconia ranking?
Is there one above gold?
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry, it's that.
No.
I thought that shiny gold was the highest I could give. Yeah.
No.
I mean, you would
Shiny
think so.
cubic zirconia.
Just to clarify, the shiny doll thing is only applies to when we average out the rankings. So you can say I'm giving it a shiny gold, but I'll still write it down as gold.
I would like it to be the highest ranking I can afford it.
Cubic zirconia.
Will be
I've learned
cubic
that lesson
then.
the hard way. Where Elliot will talk you down from like a doll something or a shiny something. And he's like, no, I do that part. You just do the base color.
Know your place.
Yeah. Only I made it.
So full marks for you. How about you, Phil?
Yeah, QZ all the way. It's definitely in. If I had top 10, it'd be in there for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right,
I wanted to
BT.
do something more
I just
enthusiastic.
want to know how you spell cubic zirconia.
That's just their parlance for it.
Cool.
Yeah, which was started by me, who never thought about it for like the first 10 episodes. And then I was like, oh yeah. Okay, well, fuck it.
But to be fair, like QZ invokes cubic zirconia more than CZ does. How are we meant to say Z in this country? I never know.
However the fuck you like, it's free country.
It's fucking Z, mate.
Yeah.
Fucking Z.
I identify as Z.
BT?
Yeah, cubic zirconia. I was like watching it, I'm like, is this a shiny gold? But then I think about all the quotable moments from it, and it's too good. So that is a cubic.
I reckon you could stop this episode at the first ad break and it'd be a gold.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's just undeniable, QZ. The only thing I wanted to change was maybe the pacing slows down in the second half, but you kind of need that. And also, you kind of need that moment where Homer does the guitar riff to sort of, okay, we just had a lot of minutes of rapid-fire jokes. So I actually think in that way, the pacing is pretty perfect on this episode. It's a thrill, funny ride from start to finish. It's an excellent character study with an excellent balance of wackiness. Yeah, I can't fault this one. And this episode will be ranked unanimous cubic zirconia. This will be the 6th episode from season 5 to be ranked unanimous cubic zirconia, joining Homer's Barbershop Quartet,
Amazing.
Cape Fear, Treehouse of Horror 4. I can't remember all the segments in this. It's like the gremlin on the side of the bus. And,
Terror at 4.5 feet.
Yeah, I think that's the paintings episode. They're dogs and they're playing poker.
Yeah. Yep, with super fun happy slide.
Wow, that is pretty
And
fun.
Ned Flanders the devil, yeah. Boy Scouts in the Hood, where Bart joins the junior campers.
Oh, man.
and goes on the squishy bender.
I'm going to watch all these
yeah.
now. Yeah.
Yeah.
And The Last Temptation of Homer, which we did with you, Phil.
Yeah.
The Mindy episode.
That is
so
so good.
Yeah.
That's actually really a fucking great episode.
That was one that surprised me, like, because it wasn't one that I loved as a kid either, because it is more relationship-based, but yeah, watching it now, you just see how fucking clever it is.
Hello.
I'll just press the button for the stimulator. I mean elevator.
Yeah, and other unanimous cubic zirconias. Season 1's part The General, when he rallies the school kids to fight back against Nelson.
Fantastic.
The Way We Was, when we see how Marge and Homer got together in high school. Lisa's Pony, Flaming Moe's, Homer at the Bat, Lisa the Beauty Queen, Mr. Plow, Who Shot Mr. Burns 1 and 2. This deserves to be up there with all those fantastic fucking episodes.
Also, in the Homer meets Mindy one, I just reminded myself and it made me happy. It's got Colonel Clink in it.
It's not Colonel Clink. He's just assuming he's from.
Keisha, the radio, the coffee pot.
Did you get those letters I sent you?
What was fun is we're watching that one, and I remember you quoting that a lot when we were kids, and we're getting up to that moment like, I think he's forgot this part's in it.
Yeah, and I was like amazed. I was like, wow!
See, that was actually another one where you'd mentioned it on a previous podcast, and then, yeah, when we were going in to do ours, I was, again, doing the algorithm, working out which episodes we should do, and then, yeah, that one popped up as an option, and I'm like, oh perfect.
Absolutely. Also, when you say doing the algorithm, I assume you're just spinning the little wheel that comes with Twister.
There is a sophisticated balance that, yeah, I'm making sure we cover the seasons evenly. I'm making sure that I'm giving our guests a good spread of episodes, like making sure you're not getting too many failures, not too many QZs. Got to make you appreciate them, you know. You got to watch some crap before the QZs.
Well, you've always had me feeling thoroughly satisfied and wanting more.
Oh yeah. And Jim, I hope we've left you with that feeling as well.
I've had a great time. Thanks, guys.
Well, yeah, thank you for joining us on the podcast. Last thing we like to do before we get out of here is there something you've been enjoying this week? Film, TV,
Other podcasts?
other podcasts, music, off the top of your head, what's something you've been enjoying?
I've gotten back into D&D is for Nerds by Sans Pants Radio. They have a season called Merchant of Great Birth. I've got some good laughs out of that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And yeah, just jumping on that, I think I've already recommended it, but yeah, bigsofttitty.png, they're also on Sans Pants Radio now, and they've got a new premium podcast on Sans Pants where they're doing commentary for Grand Designs. Phil?
I've been listening to last podcast on the left about true crime. Excellent. Very funny. A little bit crazy, but very good. And Netflix, I've watched all 2 seasons of A Good Place. And it's pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, we
didn't hate
got
it.
into that recently, hey?
Yeah, I had a lot of fun with that one.
You know, I was painting miniatures, so I wasn't paying all the attention, but worthwhile.
James?
I want a history podcast at the moment. Emperors of Rome. So
Oh, yeah?
Just covering a period of Roman history when there was 4 emperors in one year. So
Oh, wow.
I think from memory, 69 CE. So spoiler alert, 4 emperors that year.
The nicest year.
Get into it.
I think it's the Australian politics year.
Yeah. I like to think it's a wacky comedy. Like, wait, 1 emperor, 4 emperors? What?
Boing.
Like,
It's kind of like that, but with a lot more murdering.
yeah, much more
Well.
stabbing and feeding to the lions.
Yeah.
Rome was fun in a day.
Roam if you want to roam around the world. All right, guys. Well, that about does it for episode 85 of the Simpsons Index. That's been Jimmy Mac.
See you guys.
That's been Phil Calloway.
Toodles.
And that's been BT Calloway.
I'll see you in your dreams.
Whoa. And I'm your host, Elliot Jay O'Neill. That's all the mustard in the house.
Thank you for listening to the Simpsons Index podcast, which is also an online spreadsheet available at thesimpsonsindex.com. You can chat to us online at facebook.com/thesimpsonsindex or at simpsonsindex on Twitter. And now, please stay tuned for the bonus scenes. The bonus scenes? That's right.
We built a mini mall, so they built the bigger mini mall. We made the world's largest penis. We bought down the...
What?
You made the world's greatest penis?
Yeah. Well, someone had to.
Stay tuned for the bonus scenes.
Ooh.
So much of today's pop music is just single word choruses that they just put through different pitch and filters. Like that, work, I'm about to do the work. Fuck music.
You heard it here first, music. Fuck you.
Oh, I thought it was fuck music. My apologies.
feedback
Yeah, wait till
loop.
you listen back to the podcast and then you get your own voice as your internal monologue. It's a weird feeling.
What's even weirder is when you listen to it and you make a joke and then you laugh at yourself and then you laugh at yourself laughing at yourself and then you just have to stop moving.
Or you laugh at yourself in unison with yourself.
Yeah. You hit the ha-ha-ha's the exact same time and we're, oh, shit.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, this guy really gets. Oh, time vortex. Like, I'm really funny. Oh, of course I am. Very quick fire note taking this episode.
Yeah, I actually struggled to get it.
Yeah, I got a full page of notes. It was
Yeah, I was because there's so much visually happening, especially in those multi-camera jokes. Like you're trying to watch the screen and watch your writing, and then you'd lead to lines like "hot dog water wiener soakens."
We'll get to that.
Gross.
We'll get to that.
Is it even really a song?
It's more stand-up set to music,
Yeah,
Yeah.
just like a poem that no one asked for.
like most
Like
poems.
all poems.
You know what I'm gonna do.
No one's ever said, write me a poem. If they have, punch him in the face.
So what do you do for work? Oh, I'm a poet. No, work.
Who asked for that? No one.
Yeah, that died out when lead makeup went out in the 1800s.
Powdered wigs and lead makeup and poetry gone.
All for the better, I think.
Yeah, I mean, who's ever sat there and gone, you know what I want right now? A good poem.
Yeah, you know what I really need is a poem and a brass buckle on my shoe.
Sounds dope as fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why you can't come out of this room.
You and your pumped wig and lead makeup and buckle shoes.
Mostly because there's two doors.
I'm a
Well, it's
pilgrim in this
It's
picture.
different for him. He's a lawyer.
Oh yeah, that's
The
true.
powdered wig just comes with the territory.
Oh yeah, you'll
Not
get it.
powdered.
It's just
It's made of horse's hair.
it's grey with.
How's that better?
You're supposed to buy a horse and take its hair and.
You've got to wrestle a horse.
You have to buy a whole horse.
I'm
It's got a
just
wig.
winding you up.
I was gonna
They
say.
just kill the horse
Yeah. Well, why would you wrestle it? That's going to kill you.
to prove that you're a manly lawyer.
But what if you bought 3 ponies instead?
I like the idea that that's the bar exam.
Yeah.
Wrestle this horse.
Yeah, the bar is use this bar to kill this horse.
I'm a horse lord now.
It's dead. Get it. Keep going.
During this time, I also like to bring up another question we like to have on the Simpsons Index. As a first-time guest, we like to ask a question. If you could have a sandwich named after you, what would it be? Or failing that, best sandwich?
As in, do I get... So is the sandwich called the Jimmy Mac and it's got things on it?
Yep.
No, you get your name
Damn.
changed to beef on rye.
I was like, damn, man. This shit.
Yeah, beef on rye. Shut up.
I mean, it'd probably be a Reuben lookalike. But, all right, what would my...
Yeah, give it a moment. It's a tough question.
Also, that was my answer. So
Well,
Everyone's
good
answer.
choice.
It's such a good
It's
sandwich.
the best sandwich.
Yeah, look, I find it very difficult to answer that question without saying Reuben. I'm going to say a sandwich I make myself at home sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is going to go in bonus scenes. I don't want to admit to this. It's going to end up a bonus scene.
Are you just putting Vegemite and a slice of Kraft cheese on baked beans and put them in a jaffle maker?
Getting close to that. You know what? I do. I'm a fan of peanut butter.
Yeah.
And then baked beans.
Yep.
And then cheese. And then
Peanut butter.
chips. And then the jaffle maker.
Like-
Holy fuck.
Like
Yeah.
potato chips or
Oh, yeah.
like fries?
No, crisps.
Wait, don't they get super soggy?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And hot in the jaffle maker.
Peanut butter and baked beans and
chips.
cheese. Interesting.
There's a lot of things going on.
Give it
there.
a spin, guys. See
Yeah.
how you like it.
Oh,
We
gosh.
do want to make all these sandwiches one day.
If you
so-
do like it, it's the Jimmy Mac.
It's one of my favorite things in the Big Soft Titty.png podcast. They theorized the holodeck just must be full of jizz.
They're not the first to do that, trust me.
Yeah, but they're the first to come up with the jizz pig that just goes around cleaning up the jizz.
Why did it have to be a pig?
Because that way you get bacon eventually.
Well, it was actually because
I think it's technically called Jakin.
well, it was because apparently in the holodeck they never like the camera was always had the legs out of frame, so it'd have to be something short that was cleaning it all up. So it's
Couldn't it just-
either a little hobgoblin or a pig. Like those are the two things.
Or, a Roomba.
Oh, who's cleaning the tray out of that?
Another
pig.
Roomba.
Or the little brushes that just go round and around.
I think it just drives. It does one lap and then goes into a little exhaust vent and just jetters it into space. You're like, I'm never seeing you again.
Ooh, or it's
Just-
like a jizz Zamboni. It's just actually
No.
just flattens it out and just spreads it.
You heard it here first, folks. Jizz Zamboni.
Is the thing that now exists.
That actually
somewhere.
works way too well.
Yeah, we've solved it. Called Big
And
soft titty PNG.
And it would also mean that you would really, really want to learn how to ice skate super fast.
Yes.
And never fall over.
You do not want to be falling over.
So much incentive.
Hands first.
All right, let's get back on track.
Give me a sec.
Everyone out there.